Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, RowdyCat. You can find me at RowdyCat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects that you heard come from another artist than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
Is Brooklyn in the house without a doubt?
And I also just realized that the typo I just made on the tweet that I am not going to change. Screw it. We can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on their podcast for the place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page. Yes, folks.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, all that. You could also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30ish p.m. on the Click Nation's YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/theclicknation. And also twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, all one word.
Hit the like, subscribe, and or notification button so that you will know when we are online.
Yeah, dim and all that. Well, folks, yeah, here we are again. We're back once again, like tag team. Oop, there it is. All that kind of good mess. We're gonna.
Skulls!
I don't really know what to say about that, but
well, you know, there's the old and the new, right?
yes, that is also true. But yeah, we are going to get into the comic books this week. But first, we are going to talk just very, very briefly, and spoiler bell will be enacted here, because we're going to talk just a little brief about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which has now been released on Disney Plus this past week.
Right. So now that it's on the Plus, RowdyCat has had access to it, and now we're going to have at least a brief discussion. So spoilers are incoming. You are forewarned in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers are coming in.
So I liked it. I wish I had seen it in the movie theater, and boy, they could have really, on hindsight, they really could have introduced Iron Fist in this.
I have a feeling that's where they're headed because of listen, they have adapted the Shang-Chi lore and, you know, added to it and edited it so that I think they are going to be creating something very much connected to Iron Fist in the future, I think.
Right. And I was very curious to skip ahead just a little bit to the end. I was like, the Ten Rings will return. I'm sitting here like, I guess that's true, but how and where is a curiosity. With what we know is coming anyway.
That's an interesting question, because what I think it's meant to imply is that Xialing is going to be a future fixture in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
So, you know, I think that's a good question, trying to figure out where she's going to pop up next, whether it's going to be in the television shows or on the big screen or both. Mm-hmm. I was wondering what you thought of, you know, just in general about the movie itself, the acting, the storytelling, the screenplay, and all that stuff, because I had some comments on that.
So I think it was nicely shot. I can't, in relation to seeing Eternals first, I don't know, it's kind of a toss up because like they both look really good for different reasons, but and I guess there's a slight edge to Eternals because I saw it in the theater, which doesn't seem fair.
Right.
let's see. The acting was actually pretty good. I feel like the chemistry between Simu Liu and Awkwafina was pretty good. And I know people don't like those two castings for whatever odd reason, but I thought they did all right for a point. Obviously, every time Michelle Yeoh and Tony Leung was on stage, was on screens, it was pretty damn great.
Right.
So that was like, all right, great.
Yeah. I mean, my as far as the acting goes, I thought that every time Tony Leung was on the screen, he stole every scene he was in.
Right.
He was just acting circles around everybody. Minus some of the more senior, some of the older actors like Michelle Yeoh and whatnot. I felt like every time Tony Leung was on the screen, I was like, all right, please, can you guys all watch him because he's actually acting. Right. So that was at least my impression from the movie. Mm-hmm. I agree with you that I think your impression of the way the movie's shot and the scenery and the cinematography and all that stuff is probably skewed because of you watching Eternals first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably that's pretty on point. In terms of the story, I thought that it was okay. As I said earlier, the adaptation of the Shang-Chi origin in the comic books has to take place because ultimately, they can't do it, word for word from the original, and it's even harder. That's actually just as hard for them to do it according to the Zhengzhou origin that Ed Brubaker kind of put in relatively recently.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Brubaker. I could be wrong. I thought that was in Secret Avengers.
You might be right by that, but I'm not. I don't.
I mean, we kind of assumed that it was during the Secret Invasion stuff. So maybe it was Hickman.
That is also possible. Yeah.
Not the Secret Invasions, the Secret Wars, Secret Avengers stuff. So I think that was Hickman, but I'm not sure. I have to go back and check.
Right. But at any rate, though, yeah, and I'm noticing, well, shit, even this week, which we will get to later on, there is some stuff that's from the movie that has found its way into the comic books, which actually brings me back to the part we were just talking about with the Ten Rings thing. Obviously, it's the five weapon society in the comics, but I feel like I'm wondering if they're doing a similar route with the Ten Rings as they are doing in the comic books right now.
That's definitely possible, and we'll talk about that when we get to the book. What did you think of them powering Shang-Chi up so that he could kind of stand toe-to-toe with some of the other Marvel heroes?
Now, that right there is, that was one part of a two-part curiosity, because, so we know in the comics, to be fair, and we'll talk about this week's book, coincidentally, but in recent history, they've not had to do that to him in the comics. And obviously, this is the MCU, and they're different. They've changed a few different things and that. And I get why they would do that. Basically, long story short, I get why they would do that, but I don't think that should have been necessary.
I agree. I definitely think that the adaptation of the Ten Rings into something of a more martial arts weapon was effective, because it's culturally sensitive. It makes some sense.
Right.
Although part of me thinks that they're going to meld the Ten Rings that we see in the movie into something similar to what we see or what we know of in the comics.
Right.
Because of the revelations that are made in one of the post-credit scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling, especially given the fact that they changed colors.
Right.
Between, when they changed possession between Shang-Chi and Wenwu.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling that we're going to see a little bit of a melding of this MCU version with what the Malucans, I think they're called, like the aliens.
Something like that, yeah.
Right. Well, whatever it is, they were using, or traditionally the 10 rings of the Mandarin were used to power a spaceship.
Right.
And we may find out in future installments that may actually still be part of the origin of these.
Right, and that mid credit scene seems like it could have gone that way, because at first I was thinking like, wait, are they actually doing that, or are they going somewhere else with it, with what they did there? Because like that could have gone either way. And I was like, I know they said Fin Fan Foom wasn't going to be in it, but at the same time I was like, well, they were getting close to it when they was when the big bad dragon came along, but two, even when they started talking about the dweller below or whatever the case may be, even though I know I don't think that was never his designation. I'm like, okay, they're really getting kind of close to that though, with all of that. So I'm sitting here like, like that's gonna, I would like to believe that that's going to come back to play some kind of way. And then it was like, well, that wasn't really a dragon, it was an alien, and this was one of these Moluccans or whatever the case may be. And then
you never know. I had very similar thoughts, so I'm glad that we were kind of thinking along the same lines. Right. So because ultimately, in terms of making Shang-Chi more culturally relevant, there is the water dragon. Right. That is like the guardian of Talo,
right?
And that's all, and that whole and a lot of the creatures that we see when they enter into Talo are very much rooted in the Chinese mysticism and mythology. So it's all very, very relevant in terms of being touching upon cultural touchstones. So I thought that the movie itself was effective. As I said, I thought that the strongest acting was from Tony Leung, so I'm hoping that Simu Liu and presumably Awkwafina continue to grow into their roles. I wasn't completely convinced by them in this movie, but that's just me.
Right.
I felt more attached to the movie when I was watching Tony Leung literally act circles around everybody.
Oh, right, yeah, because it was like, okay, he's just grabbing folks in, just like between him and Michelle Yeoh and a couple, probably maybe one or two other people that did whatever their little parts in, but definitely between them two, it was like, all right, they pretty much caught the screen there. Now, I will say, like I said earlier, like I did like the chemistry between Simu Liu and Awkwafina's characters. I wasn't quite sure where they were going with her character Katie, because I was like, okay, she's a good driver, I guess, or she can drive, basically. That was pretty much the thing. And I was like, okay, so going with what they kind of laid out as the subplot is like, well, you have all this potential and this and that and the other. It's like, okay, so what is that going to translate into? But what we later found out is like, okay, she ends up shooting a bow and arrow. And I'm sitting here like, and the fact that her name was Katie, I was like, well, we already know there's a Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye thing coming up, so I know they weren't going to do that. But at the same time, I was like, that could have been a way they could have done that if they were going to go that route. I mean, probably for the best that they didn't. But
right. I think that it's a weird. It's definitely a weird relationship that they form, because it's seemingly platonic and it's seemingly not at the end of the movie.
But I'm also glad they didn't put it together, though. So,
right, and in terms of Katie's heroic journey, hero's journey, I thought one of the best lines was something that was translated from Mandarin, I presume Mandarin, into English in the subtitles. That where one of the villagers in Talo says to Katie, I may be misquoting this, you hit nothing you don't aim for, or something like that.
Yes. Basically, you basically got it. I do remember that.
Right, and I was just like, ooh, that's pretty deep. That's something you can that's something you can actually take away from this movie.
Yeah. So what they plan on doing with her character going forward in relation to all of that, I'm slightly kind of curious, because I was also curious at the end of that. It was like, so the other thing that was also curious was like, especially seeing that play out, was Wong's whole role in this. Like, yeah, pretty much what was in the trailers it was for the most part up until later on. But that whole scene right there, even when it played out, was still kind of weird. It was like, wait, you're friends with the Abomination? And
Oh no, the line is if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing.
Right. But
I just Googled it, so just wanted to put a bow on that one.
Right. So, and I'm sitting here like, okay, are we going to get some kind of explanation as to why Wong was there in the first place? Or is that going to come in Doctor Strange? Or maybe not? Probably not. Because I'm still like, that's the part I really kind of want to see. And how the hell did he end up meeting the Abomination?
I think that all that stuff is going to come together. All that stuff is going to come together. These are seeds that are going to be grown later.
Because we know, I believe we know that. Planted. Right, because I believe we know
because we know that Emil Blonsky is going to show up at some point.
Right, I was going to say he's going to be in She-Hulk supposedly.
Right. So we're going to see these characters, and obviously we know we're going to see Wong later on.
Right, he's going to be in he's going to be in Spider-Man coming up soon.
Right.
But then obviously I would pretty safe bet he's going to be in Doctor Strange also. So.
Correct.
But yeah, that was like I said, this whole. Even when he came back later on and to get both of them, which I was assuming he was at least going to get one of them because I was like, yeah, I get it. He was going to get Shang-Chi because of the 10 rings.
Right.
I got that part, but it was like, why was he grabbing Katie also? Like that wasn't necessarily a package deal, but like that part was kind of curious. Like maybe they're setting up for something a little bit more than what we know. Like obviously she's not a character that we know of as far as we know from the comics.
Right.
So, but like I said, that was the whole thing that was kind of curious to me throughout that whole thing. But outside of that, like I said, yeah, the movie was actually pretty good. It was paced nicely. I thought nice enough. The only other weird part, I guess, was the inclusion, which made sense, but also the extended use of Trevor Slattery. Because I'm sitting here like, all right, like when it got to that first point when he came in, I was like, okay, I already know where this is going. Because when it hurt your heart, I already know where that was going.
Well, he brings with him Morris, which is awesome too.
Sure.
Right. So what you missed out on by not watching it in the theaters, especially, me, opening night, right? So that I can't, for a lot of these movies, I can't do without the crowd reaction.
Sure.
And, the opening night crowd is always hyped, always, to a certain extent, overreacts to things because we're all looking for something, in the movie to react to.
Right.
To a certain extent, we're primed as opposed to I hate to call them normies, but the normal crowd that comes in later, right? Which is kind of like a mix of people who would be opening night people, but for the fact that they missed out on tickets, and the people that they end up coming along with, right? And people who just end up getting tickets for, the few days after opening night, right? But when you go on an opening night, you know that you're with people who are generally primed for the event. And so when Trevor Slattery came on, the people that knew, and most, like the vast majority of the crowd in my theater knew. And a lot of people reacted to Morris. And one of the biggest laugh lines was the Planet of the Apes sequence.
Yes.
That got everybody cackling in my theater the first time I watched it.
Yeah, admittedly, I did have a good laugh at that one. I was like, really? But then again, like knowing this character, it's like, yeah, that makes a whole lot sense. But I respected. I was like, okay, well, they're gonna just use him at this part, and then just kind of let that go, and maybe they'll grab Morris and go. But it was like, no, he was literally along for the ride. Or actually,
he was there for the duration.
Yeah.
He was absolutely there for the duration. So I kind of got a kick out of the fact that he does make, spoiler. We rang the spoiler bell long ago, but, Trevor Slattery does make it out of this adventure alive, which means that Ben Kingsley still has a job in the MCU if he wants to come back.
Yeah, about to say if he leaves Ta Lo.
Right. Well, I mean, my point is, if Ben Kingsley wants to return to the MCU, there is a character waiting for him.
Right. So it was like, okay, that was partially well played, but also it was like, they're really kind of extending this more than I expected them to. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm just gonna let it roll.
I mean, talk about giving an actor, a character that he can have fun with. Like, he's literally having fun with.
I mean, right? Yeah, you putting someone like Ben Kingsley in a role like that. Like, yeah, you want to make sure you use him pretty well, or at least give him enough or something. So I got that part, but at the same time, it's like, that character, if they had stopped, like I said, if they had just like, here's the scene he was in. They got what they needed from him. Pew, pew. I would have been fine with that. Which is, like I said, him being on the rest of it wasn't really detracting from anything, but it was still like, okay, didn't necessarily need him, but at the same time, it was fun. It was
it was great. Because ultimately they had before we spend too much more time on the movie, I felt like they switched the comic relief from Katie to him.
Yes,
because she had much more action-y things to do. Right. I wanted to mention before we move on, it's gotta be her voice, but every time Awkwafina was yelling for help on the on that
bamboo
the bamboo scaffolding scene.
Yes.
Every time she yelled out for help, I think I laughed. Because it sounds funny. Like, she's making it sound funny. Yeah. She's like, help! Yeah. I started laughing.
Yeah.
She's in mortal danger, and I'm laughing because she sounds funny.
Right. Well, yeah, and she's even noticed that she kind of, I think she said her voice sounds like a 45-year-old uncle that smokes or something. I can't remember. So I'm like, she's even aware of that. I'm like,
right.
So yeah, that part was like, yeah, I'm like, you sure you won't want to do another take of that? But at the same time, like,
it sounds like a cartoon almost, like help.
Right. So
I definitely got a kick out. I definitely started laughing a lot during that scene. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think they needed to switch gears in terms of who's going to be the comic relief at that point in the movie.
Yeah, I mean that's never stopped them from keeping that, and keeping some action along with it. But yeah, I guess the shift didn't hurt anything either.
Right.
That Razor Fist, I wasn't, I don't know. So first of all, the Razor Fist car, I'm sitting here like, all the cars they chose to take. Like, so this is part of that because it's like, this is just getting a little into the weeds. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But I was like, of all the cars they chose to take, they took the Razor Fist one, and I was like, okay, that makes no sense there. But at the same time, sure, why not?
Of course.
Sure, why not? And also, because I have found myself thinking for like 30 seconds, like, why would Razor Fist, that looks like a hybrid hatchback. Like, why would, even if it was, tagged or whatnot, and like, that doesn't seem like a car that dude would drive.
I mean, maybe he's environmentally conscious.
Yeah, as much fucking up with that bus he did, or whatever the case was, I doubt that. But like,
that was a great sequence. That was a great sequence.
The
bus
sequence. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a great sequence.
See, yeah, I was kind of upset because if they had kind of kept a lot of that out of the trailers, it would have been slightly better. But at the same time, it was still great. Once you see it all out on film.
Right. I mean, it's, if you think about it, that is the big martial arts sequence. If you discount the scaffolding,
well, and right, the fight within battle. Right. That one, the fight within with Shang-Chi and Wenwu. Yeah.
Right. But in terms of I think they needed to put that into the trailers. Yeah. But I thought that was a great sequence.
Yeah.
The bus driving. Did you see? I don't know if you put it into the news. There a real bus driver in San Francisco tweeted out. Once the movie was released on Disney Plus, mm-hmm. a real San Francisco bus driver tweeted out a string of tweets about some of the accuracies and inaccuracies of that scene.
No, I didn't, but I believe something like that would happen because, yeah, obviously a bus like that probably shouldn't be making those turns that it did.
It was very funny. Simu Liu actually reacted to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he tweeted. You know, he replied to the tweet. So you know, to the chain of tweets,
right.
a string of tweets. So you know, I'll you know, we'll make sure we take a look at that once the show's over. But I think we've spent enough time on Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings.
Yeah, we'll be
Do you have any
Shang-Chi
final thoughts before we move on?
No, like I said, I will probably watch it again. Any other thoughts? If we happen to do something a little more substantial, it'll probably be there. But for the most part, I got most of the things I had to say about it on First Plus because I just watched it like earlier today, as of this.
Oh wow!
Wow,
so it must be super fresh. I watched I watched it sometime last week.
Right.
So last week, this past weekend, that is not last week, but this past weekend, I watched it over the weekend. So that would have been my third time watching it.
Right. So otherwise, that if you have a chance, if you have Disney Plus or Plus, as Agent 70 has been saying, and you have a chance to watch it, hey, do it. It's great. Moving right along, though, we're going to get into the comic books of the week, and we're going to start off with Amazing Spider-Man number 78 dot BEY or dot BEY, aka the 0.5 issue.
So the creative team for Amazing Spider-Man number 78 Point Beyonce it's written by Jed McKay with art by Eleonora Carlini. Colors are by Federico Blee, and letters by our favorite paisan at VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is an interlude of sorts and a bit of a flashback of sorts because we get some training here that is being run by a training simulation that is being run by the Daughters of the Dragon, Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, for one Ben Reilly as he continues to try to get up to speed to become the main Spider-Man, as it were, in the Marvel Universe.
Which is still curious to me, but go on.
Say again?
I said, which is still curious to me in a way, but go on.
Well, what's curious, because we've been watching this story unfold, we've been reading the story unfold over the past several issues now, and what we're starting to get is a clue into why Misty and Colleen took on this job.
Right.
And we got that in number 78, which was out last week.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get the Beyonce issue, or the Beyond issue. Let me not call it the Beyonce issue because the Beehive or the Bayhive will come after me. So the Beyond, we get this Beyond issue, and we get more information into why the Daughters of the Dragon are in this particular arrangement with the Beyond Corporation. And we also have another tie into the surprise guest appearance from issue 78 that we saw in the cliffhanger. We actually get we get the same cliffhanger in this issue. Right.
Well, yes, and we also get hints of what could be what you were talking about, what we were mentioning about, because you can't really go too far talking about the Beyond Corps in the Marvel Universe without bringing up Next Wave and the cliffhanger guest that is helping the Daughters of the Dragon, which we said last week, so we might as well go ahead and say it again. Monica Rambeau, who knows a thing or two about the Beyond Corps and their dealings, and this issue is going further to add a little bit more Next Wave into the actual into the MCU Prime Universe, the 616. Because if I'm not mistaken, Next Wave was not necessarily in canon, except for it kind of got referenced like a little bit later on by the likes of Al Ewing in the Ultimates. So, or in other places. So there were shades of that kind of got hinted at. Oh, actually, might have been Mighty Avengers, Captain America and Mighty Avengers around that time. When that started happening.
Right, like slowly but surely they're going to incorporate it somehow. into the regular
this
continuity.
issue, right? And this issue is no different because of the thing that the Daughters of the Dragon get sent after. The threat that has been sent after holds or is wielding a thing that has to do with another next wave character.
Oh, okay. So because of my unfamiliarity with it, it was new to me. But please expand.
So like you said, they go, the Daughters of the Dragon. They start off on this Danger Room-esque mission, which I mean not Danger Room-esque training session with Ben. And that's kind of funny because apparently Colleen made it, and they make a specific X-Men reference that some folks might know, and they call it out. But then after that particular training simulation ends up being where Misty and Colleen end up kind of trapped in, because the threat they've come after kind of interacted with it and put them basically inside the game. So they kind of have to fight their way through this simulation until they realize what was actually going on. Well, they knew what was going on, but until they realized, how they could end this simulation and get what they need to do done. And like I said, then the thing they ended up getting from that, but not telling the Beyond Corps about, was again an item. So it's called the Heart Star, and I never knew this thing had a name. The wielder of this thing was called the Captain. Not Captain America, not anything, just called the Captain. And it was just some dude that basically ended up. So the Heart Star was given to this dude who was out drunk one night by these two aliens who was coming to Earth to look for a champion. And they didn't find anybody, but they came across a drunk dude. They gave it to him, and as soon as he took it on, he beat him to death, and just kind of went about his merry way because he was still drunk and he thought he was hallucinating and whatnot. But he ended up joining the Next Wave crew, I think, in that same issue, I think that was when they talked about it. Anyway, but regardless, like I said, that Heart Star thing ended up being because of that. So I assume maybe this person's going to come back into play, or at the very least, maybe someone else is going to wield it. We don't know. But obviously, Monica knows what to do with it, as she said it in this issue. So that's pretty much where that comes from. So there is definitely more Next Wave coming out. Now, if we see Machine Man shows up or Boom Boom, we'll know something. Because we do know both of them are around.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen both of them in other stories. We saw Machine Man in that Iron Man story, the Iron Man 2020 story, and Boom Boom is
somewhere.
I was about to say somewhere on Krakoa, maybe.
Yeah, she was last we saw her anyway.
So, I thought you would have gotten a kick out of Ben Reilly making a reference to, I bet John Walker didn't have to do this kind of thing.
I kind of did, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, I don't know if that's where you want to put yourself in line with. But that whole sequence where he was just going through the quote unquote the murder mansion, the simulation was kind of amusing, and also still brought up the point, like I was saying earlier, it's like, why does he need this kind of training? Like, I get it, Beyond Corps is trying to hone him, but at the same time, like, and he's kind of been out of I guess he's out of shape, out of practice. I don't know, but even though we've just seen him in that most recent Iron Man story, even though he really didn't do that much. Right. At the same time, it's like, well, he's kind of Spider-Man. He kind of knows what to do, but I get the fact that, like, yeah, they want to hone him a little bit more so he'd be more equipped to handle what comes his way.
Right. I'm glad that you had, that you've given us all this history lesson on the Heart Star, because this was foreign to me, and I guess I'm going to have to put Next Wave on my list of reading on Marvel Unlimited now.
It's a very silly read, and you should very much watch it. Now, granted, yeah, it's written by Warren Ellis. Whatever you're thinking about him at this point, it is what it is. But the story itself is, it is pretty dumb but good.
I have the first issue. I own the first issue, but beyond that, I don't think I've ever given it much thought. But thanks to thanks to Marvel Unlimited, I have access to this now. So I think I may just have to start reading this.
Yeah, and it's only 12 issues, so it's not that much to it.
Right.
So, that being said, though, yeah, we've pretty much wronged that one. I'm still on the. They're still trying to get me with one, the inclusion of Daughters of the Draken, two, with all this next wave stuff. But I'm still on the fence about this whole Ben Reilly Spider-Man thing, because screw that dude.
Right. And ultimately, as I foretold this, and Roddy Cat has admitted that I was correct in that, we knew specifically because they revealed the rough span of time that this issue, that this Ben Reilly stuff would probably span. Mm-hmm. So I figured that they would be stringing the people who don't care for Ben Reilly along, right, until we see the ultimate return, no pun intended, of Peter Parker.
And Ben gets his own book, so to which you can just freely to the side. Right. That being said, though, we can move on to. I see you got Sword highlighted, so I don't know if that's what you want to go to or.
What's next?
Oh no, I don't have anything highlighted. Sorry about that.
Well, okay. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and get into this Shang-Chi thing. So Shang-Chi number 6.
All right. So the creative team on Shang-Chi number 6. This book is written by Jean Luen Yang. The art is by D.K. Ruan. Colors are by Triona Farrell, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this issue is essentially a direct continuation of where we left off in the last issue. And I will let Roddy Cat take it from here.
Let's see, let me get the.
Oh, sorry about that. I mean, if you need me to continue, I will.
No, I'm just pulling up, getting the cover up. So yeah, but the gist of it is that, like I just said, this does definitely take place after the last issue,
almost directly.
Yeah. But what ends up happening is, which I guess is pretty much the culmination of this arc, in the fact that Shang-Chi is being visited by the Avengers, basically, because they've been dealing with him, and everybody who's run across him is kind of skeptical about him being the head. Well, the Five Weapons Society in general just being around, and him being the head of it, knowing their history with him, kind of question whether he's going to be good or bad, into this. But in this particular case, they've come back because they realized that the Cosmic Cube was not given to them. And they have come calling because of this, and not realizing that Shang-Chi didn't even know that he still had, I guess. So that's a question about, because I can't remember. And it's been a couple of issues since that happened. So, because we know Shang-Chi's brother hit the Cosmic Cube, but I don't know if Shang-Chi actually knew if he gave them the right one. But it sounds like in this particular case, up until what happened at the end, near the end of it, like, I guess he didn't know. Or I guess he might have known.
That's how I remember it. I'm going to try to look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, because up until a certain point, like, Shang-Chi's like, well, okay, so this is the thing, and then, but anyway, what ends up happening is the Avengers slightly rudely kind of come and break up his house, bringing in Thor. But of course, right before that, there just so happens to be the introduction of a weapon that they have in their possession that could match Thor, and that ends up making Shang-Chi be toe-to-toe with Thor, obviously with his skill intact, up until the revelation of not all is what it seems. And that pretty much puts the halt to a fight, and ends up having Shang-Chi make a choice that doesn't sit well with the people around him, put it that way. And even the people and even the Avengers are like, "Well, did he really do that to save his own thing, or did he really just do that for goodwill?" Like, they still not really trusting him. But obviously, this is going to keep going because, like, whether he did it, as they say, as a plant, or whether it was a goodwill gesture, or that he really meant it, or whatever the case may be. I guess we'll see coming up. But it doesn't really matter because we know that at the end of this, that there are some forces that are against Shang-Chi. And even one movie reference, by the way, I don't know if you caught that on that last page. There was a reference to a thing that was from the movie that was in that last page. That I kind of got a kick out. I was like, "Oh right, I remember seeing that thing, or those things." That I got a kick out of seeing. But apparently, like I said, there are some forces that are going to be rising up against Shang-Chi and the family. And
yeah, I was just trying to pull up issue number 5, but now you got me curious about this thing on the last page.
Mm-hmm. As I said, you should know it when you see it, because like I said, it's a thing that kind of comes in. It's not a big part of the movie, but it's just like something that shows up in it. And like I said, having seen the movie today, I was like, "Oh right."
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
I'm like, like, was that planned, or was that like, or did they just like, did one take from the other?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell, with these, with the way the MCU works. So hard to tell. But yeah, no. Do you remember when number 5 came out? Just out of curiosity.
I think this is still monthly, so I'm not sure the exact.
I'm trying to find when this came out in October, and I'm not seeing it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I could probably, because I haven't really organized or dealt with my my books, or my old books, so I can probably find out real quick.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it now. Forgive us, folks. This isn't exactly dead air, because what we're trying to do is find out if this particular story point is what we think it is.
Mm-hmm. And actually,
did it miss a month? Was it September?
Wait, that's September. I'm in the wrong month.
Oh no, I got it. I'll tell you when it was. 10/13.
Okay.
10/13. Right. So this is the Iron Man. Right. So this is the Iron Man issue.
Right.
When Shang-Chi is, basically buys an Iron Man suit off the black market to reclaim it. It's basically the Silver Centurion armor.
Right.
And I'm going to just click through here and see if we can't see this part. That might have happened prior to this issue.
What, the Cosmic Cube one? Yes, because that was the I believe that was the Captain America issue, actually. So that might have been like 2 or 3. Might have been, yeah.
Right. So then, yeah, I'm not going to go back. I mean, that's probably Marvel Unlimited at this point, but
I would think so.
Bottom line is, I seem to recall that whole girlfriend of Brother Saber bit.
Right.
So I think what we read in this issue is in fact factually true.
Right. That
Brother Saber kept this information from Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that part I do remember, but but there was part of that I thought that Shang-Chi kind of was intentionally keeping the Cosmic Cube away from folks, but I think he did say he was like, no, I was going to give it to. As a matter of fact, yeah, I think that's what it was. He was thinking he was giving the Cosmic Cube to the Avengers, but Brother Saber had given him a duplicate or a knockoff, as it were.
Right.
Which led up to this.
Right. I thought that was interesting that they brought out the heavy guns. That they brought Thor out.
Right.
But that's definitely. But that was obviously to I think that Jin Luen Yang used Thor to demonstrate that this was in fact a cosmic level, a Cosmic Cube level, artifact.
Right.
So.
Right.
But
Avengers,
oh no, go ahead.
No, I was about to say the Avengers were just thinking was like, well, yeah, we're just gonna lean on Shang-Chi with somebody he couldn't possibly, deal with, and come to find out that they were mistaken.
Right.
Which I feel like even without that, I mean, obviously, he wasn't gonna really hurt a god all that much with his skill set, but I figured he would have at least like been some pressure point thing or something. He knows enough about this dealings where he, I feel like he would have still been able to do something. Like obviously he's going up against a god, so there's just a little bit stacked against him, but at the same time,
right,
he's been a part of the cosmic level events. So,
right. What I was going to add at the end is, I like that it was Spider-Man, that it was Peter Parker,
right?
Because. We don't have too much information on Shang-Chi's relationships with that many of the Marvel heroes. We have some, he's obviously trained and sparred with Captain America, which is why I kind of bristled at the way that Jean Yang characterized Captain America in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely appreciated that it was Spidey who was like, hey man, you mean our friends,
right?
Because that was actually reading along my own thought process when I read, when I was reading Shang-Chi's speech bubble there. I was like, what do you mean? Those are both of your friends. And then I read Spidey's bubble, his dialogue. And I was like, oh, okay. That's exactly where we're going with this.
Right. Yeah, agreed. But yeah, like I said, we'll whatever happened in this issue, at the end of it, we'll see the outcome of it going forward. So,
I mean, upcoming we have a little bit of a history lesson in terms of Shang-Chi's mother. We're going to see probably a touch more of synergy between the movies and the comics.
Yes, that seems to be true.
Right. It seems very likely. So we will see next month what is going to be incorporated. I'm glad now that you've watched the movie, you'll be able to relate to this better.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is like, 'cause even as I was reading, I was like, even before getting to the end, I was like, yeah, okay. Even like you said, the bit with the mother seemed like it was kind of leaning towards that. And then I saw the thing at the end. I was like, yeah, they are definitely leaning towards that.
Right. And yeah, I think I might have mentioned that when the movie first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And we were first introduced to Shang-Chi's mother in this volume of the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I probably mentioned it, so I'm glad that you have a grasp of it as well now. All right. So we will move on from Shang-Chi number 6, President Bartlett.
Yes.
What's next?
Let's just see, maybe one more book, and then we'll hit up rapid fire, I guess.
Sure.
You choose.
Moon Knight number 5.
Oh, boom. Okay, that's good.
Moon Knight number 5 is written by Jed MacKay, with art by Alessandro Cappuccio, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So this was a very interesting read because we get to, it's very much like, what am I thinking of? Oh, I want to make a Ted Lasso reference. I really do, but Roddy Cat is not caught up on Ted Lasso at all.
Yeah, no.
So I definitely recommend Ted Lasso. This is not the first time I recommended Ted Lasso on the Comic Book Chronicles. I definitely recommend it to Roddy Cat and everyone who is watching and listening. Nevertheless, what we have here is a mini breakthrough between Mark Spector, Moon Knight, or Mr. Knight, and his therapist. And in the course of this therapy session, we also have a little bit of a breakthrough in terms of a reveal of the character who's been stalking Moon Knight for these first 5 issues of the book.
Right.
And that's really where, this issue excels. One, we have this revelation or this, this opening, this breakthrough in therapy for Moon Knight, in addition to this breakthrough in Moon Knight's investigation of what has been happening in and around his what is it, the Midnight Mission he calls it?
Yes.
Right. So I thought this was a really quality issue. I thought that this character who essentially creates what Admiral Akbar would always call, it's a trap. And it wasn't obvious to me, which was great. Mm. So, as soon as it was sprung, I was like, oh, okay, I could hear Admiral Akbar in my head as I read it. Right. But I was glad that it was not obvious to me. But ultimately, I appreciated this issue for some of the some of what came out during the therapy session. Mm-hmm. I definitely appreciated that. And I also definitely appreciated how McKay decided to have this trap be sprung. I maybe I just was reading it very quickly and I didn't allow myself the chance to process the fact that it was probably a trap. Mm-hmm. But I definitely appreciated that the way he wove the pacing of the therapy session, intermingling that with the reveal in this issue of maybe not the big bad, but definitely the character who's been lurking in the shadows of the first 5 issues.
Right. And which actually kind of brings up curiosity, because this is a character, it ends up being a character who has been seen in the last couple of issues on the side. In fact, was the kind of the focal point of one because of that, this, I guess, the trouble they were in or whatever the case may be. I can't remember what it was. But to them now being, the quote unquote the person who's been the big bad, or not even the big bad, but the person who's been watching the mission,
right,
and what they have named themselves in this issue, which is also curious because Zodiac, I believe, well, the Zodiac was an old Avengers team, foe team, villain team.
Right. They had a villain. Wasn't one of the didn't one of the characters have a key?
Like Zodiac key, yes. Mm-hmm. Usually the leader of the Zodiac was the one that held the key. I can't remember if they themselves called themselves Zodiac or they just had the key and that was that. I don't remember. But no, obviously the Zodiac was most times they were abstractions of the sounds of the Zodiac.
Right.
So I don't know if this is playing off of that or this is like a whole new thing and they're just like, no, we're just gonna name this dude Zodiac. I didn't do the legwork to check that out, and I don't even know if it's new. They probably might not even have it in the wiki yet, so I don't know. But regardless, like you said, the revelations that came out during the breakthroughs that came out during the therapy was actually an interesting thing, as much as that last reveal. Which the Zodiac dude, I was like, I don't know if they were actually really setting up to be like a Jigsaw type person, and not the Jigsaw of the Marvel universe, the Jigsaw of the movie. The movie Saw universe, because I thought that's where they were kind of going with setting up that trap
right
with him, and I don't know if that's something that's going to keep going or that was just something for this particular time. I guess we'll see. But it was a good issue before, like you said, the breakthrough and whatnot. I forgot to mention earlier that, we did mention that Jed McKay wrote Amazing Spider-Man. Usually, he kind of teeters between most of the stuff being like really fun, like real fun, action-heavy stuff. This is not necessarily less that, but also, I guess, kind of bridges that a little bit because, like I said, there was more as much therapy in there here as much action, as opposed to the Spider-Man book from this week, which is more action and fun and more jokey. So continue to like Jed McKay's writing. That being said, With that though,
Well,
I guess.
I was going to add very quickly.
Sure.
I definitely appreciated, the part of the therapy session that talked about Mark Spector's relationship with his religion and becoming the Fist of Khonshu, and how that all sort of works and at some point coexist together.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
And it's definitely worth a read because there's some insight into the character, and I appreciated the fact that they do treat the dissociative identity disorder with sensitivity here, and definitely give the reader some food for thought when it comes to how the Moon Knight has been portrayed up until now and where they're possibly taking the character.
Yep.
This may inform, it'd be interesting to see if this informs how we look at the Disney Plus series.
I'm thinking it might, but we'll talk about that when we get to the news section, because there is a little bit of news on that in there. That being said, though, unless you got something else.
No, that's it. I mean, I will spin up the minigun. Ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
We're in rapid fire.
We are indeed in rapid fire. Go for it, and then I'll just hitch on to what books that I've read with you, or that I've also read.
Not a problem. So Batman number 117 is my first book. It's written by James Tynion IV, with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tomo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. This is the finale of James Tynion IV's run on Batman. And we have the culmination of his story, his Fear State story. Now, at this point, we've, I guess, come full circle and taken us all the way to, I don't remember exactly where Future State ended up in Batman. I think we are through Future State, but I'm not sure because I cannot recall.
Yeah, and I haven't read this, so I don't know.
Right, because... mild spoilers, essentially Simon Saint goes down, the Peacekeepers go down, and this actually ties into a book that is also on my reading list, Nightwing number 86. It's written by Tom Taylor with art by Robbie Rodriguez, colors by Adriano Lucchesi, and letters by Wes Abbott. So these two books in conjunction basically detail how the Bat family and the extended Bat family take down Simon Saint and the Peacekeepers and restore some Bat order to Gotham. That's the big picture way of describing what happens here. There are several smaller details that I'm going to forego talking about, but ultimately, at the end of these two issues, we are getting ready to leap into the future. I don't know if it's actually the future state of the Batman corner of the DC universe.
I would suspect not, since Future State is already done. And based on what you kind of said a little bit ago, I'm thinking that was kind of where the end of that Batman stuff during Future State had started going towards.
You mean like them wrapping up the story with Simon Saint and the Peacekeepers, right?
I believe so. It's been months. Like, you have to remember.
Exactly. I can't remember either. So,
Future State was at the beginning of this year. So, and we have
right.
had a lot of books since then.
Right. So bottom line is, get ready for a new start in the Batman corner of the the Batman corner of the DC universe, not the Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. Talk about Eternals messing me up on that one, right? So, next up is Kang the Conqueror number 4. It's written by former guests Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Former guests of the pod of the Comic Book Chronicles, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Art by Carlos Magno. Colors are by Espen Grunditjern, and letters by our favorite paisan over at VC, Joe Caramagna. So, this is the penultimate issue of this limited series, and bottom line here is that we've seen we kind of continue to traipse through Kang's history, both documented and undocumented until now. And, we see a particular episode in Kang's history that goes all the way back to, and I actually Googled this, goes all the way back to one of his first appearances in Avengers number 24. And the character of Ravonna has factored heavily into this miniseries and continues to do so. And we will see how Kang's scheme to stop the cycle of Ravonna plays out in the next and last issue of this miniseries. Any thoughts? Any additional thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much summed it up. Like I said, it is funny, but I guess makes sense to how there have been like different Ravonnas during the course of this miniseries, and they've been different up until this last one that shows up, which is the more classic version of Ravonna, and the one that ultimately is the crux of his, I guess, safe to say the crux of his mission, even though this is a different Kang from the one that started out in this miniseries. So, but it's still the same thing. So I know they took great pains to kind of say, it was like, yep, this is different, but this is the same. Again, where this is all leading up to, we don't know if it's leading up to anything at all. Like, what's it going to make this any different from what we already know about this character, outside of the fact that we know that this character is going to be in the MCU soon?
Right. At the end of the day, I think what it may make me do is kind of reread what I thought I knew about Kang. Mm-hmm. Go back and reread, because I thought Avengers Forever kind of cemented what the character was. We're talking about the Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco series.
Right.
I don't know if you read Avengers Forever back then.
I did, yeah.
So I feel like I need to go back and read that, and then read this, and then read some of the other Kang stories, or at least read the entry in Ohatmu to kind of get the Cliff Notes version of it, and see if I can't reconcile all that stuff to see where they might go in the MCU.
Right. So I guess this is actually something I've been thinking about this, because there haven't really been many footnotes in this miniseries. And I suspect that was purposefully, because they're while they're kind of rearranging some history, there's some beats that are still kind of there. But it would be nice to be like, hey, this is kind of reminiscent of, here's this story, here's that story, here's this story. Like I said, in this particular issue, we do get at least one of that, because I think it does. There is a footnote maybe in here about that Avengers 25, but ultimately they haven't done that. But it would be nice to see a nice little timeline of like, here's the stories that these are playing off of. So that's all.
No, absolutely, I agree with that. That's a good point. All right, let's see, where am I now? So I did Moon Knight, talked about Nightwing very quickly. You did Shang-Chi. So to the big speculator issue of the week, Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 5. It's written by Tom Taylor with art by John Timms, colors by Hi-Fi, and letters by Dave Sharp. I admittedly have not been reading this book. This is the Superman book that centers around Jonathan Kent, the son of Kal-El, as it is stated in the title. And this is the issue in which it is revealed that Jonathan Kent is indeed bisexual. So it is part of the story. It is an organic part of the story. And I thought the most interesting part of the story, honestly, was that the villain, or at least the main antagonist in this issue, or at least in this story arc so far, is named Bendix with an X. So it's not Bendis, but Bendix. So I don't know if that is a pre-existing character in the DC universe up until now, but I thought it was kind of curious that this character is named so. Actually, it looks like it is it is a character that has had some history in the DC universe.
In fact, I just looked it up. This is a Wildstorm
From the
character.
Wildstorm, yeah, from Wildstorm. Look at that.
So from Stormwatch, which I never read, but like I said, I'm not real big on DC anyway, so that's not. not
I was about to say, I read Stormwatch when it was in Image. You know, when it was a Jim Lee property spinoff. So I don't recall this character. This might have been in the later the later redux of Stormwatch when they became incorporated with the DC universe.
I believe so, because it says March 1993, and it says Wildstorm Universe. So I believe that is.
Oh, I mean, no, but March 93 would put him in the original Stormwatch.
Oh,
so,
but that's what it says here. Stormwatch number 1, March 1993. So
yeah, there it is. There it is. So I just don't recall then. Interestingly enough. All right. So, well, in any event, you know, I'll scratch my thoughts on this character being new and it being a play on Bendis's name, but it's still kind of funny. It's a nice coincidence.
I mean, Bendis was around then, so it's not without, you know, merit.
Right. So ultimately, you know, this is a story. This is an issue that has garnered attention in the media and most likely through, for speculators. Have at it, speculators. Have fun. Right. All right. Next up is Sword number 10. I am in and out of this book. I know that Roddy Cat has been keeping up with this, so he will have something to say. It is written by Al Ewing, with art by Jacopo Camagni, colors by Fernando Cifuentes of Proto Bunker Studios, and letters by VC's Ariana Maher. So what we get in this issue is some Krakoan / sword / space intrigue being played out with some character study courtesy of WizKid, the last character you thought you would ever get that from. You know, I don't think anyone ever expected to get a character study of a WizKid in this book, but we got it, and this issue is definitely the first time I think we've ever had this deep of exploration of the WizKid character, and I thought it was very effective. And we find out at the end of the issue that not everything is what we thought it was over the last 2 issues. Your thoughts, Roddy Cat?
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, but there's also a thing that we've noticed that they've been doing in the X books, you know, character studies for the person that is kind of in the forefront of the issue, if not, you know, if not the book. Like, you know, I think not too long ago we had one on Quentin Quire and X-Force, kind of redefining him a little bit. And in this case, WizKid from the Exterminators, which are, again, a group in a book that I'm pretty sure if you're of a certain vintage, you may or may not remember.
I own it. I don't think I remember reading it, but I own it.
Yeah, same. I do remember reading it because I think that was like around, wasn't that Inferno? I don't remember. There was an event where they came out, and I think he was introduced in. But regardless, so the long story short, yeah, we do get a little bit more on the character, which serves him because obviously more modern readers will probably not know who this character is. So this was probably good for that, and for again people like us who, while we might know the character, you know, may need a little refresher of his character, which, you know, snotty teen who's good with computer really doesn't need a whole lot to say about it, but apparently there's a little bit more to his character, or at least they're making a little bit more to his character than that. So, right. That being said, though, in the course of this issue, yeah, we see an apparent betrayal by WizKid, but as I just said, it's not everything's not what it seems. And they even kind of call out the fact that he's a triple agent. So, which I was like, well, they didn't necessarily have to do that, but they did.
What made it easy to figure out what was going on?
Correct. And at the end, I guess there's to the extent of what's happened in this issue, which if you're watching the video version of this program. You can see the cover. Pretty much, kind of, sort of happens. And that plays into, I guess that plays into the portrayal part, but also, I guess, you know, in any good bit of subterfuge, you gotta kind of make it seem real, or make it real in this case, I guess. So whether there's a total demolition of, is that the peak or the second one, the pinnacle? I can't remember which one it is. Regardless, one of them kind of goes up because of what happens, and you know, and it's all according to someone's plan, to which again we don't know the extent of. But we kind of see why they would probably do something like this and who is involved in this, given who we know shows up in this issue.
You're correct, by the way. The Exterminators was introduced during Inferno.
Okay. Well, yay memory.
I couldn't remember. I had to look it up. I actually went to my collection and literally made sure that I own these issues. I was like, wait a second, I do own these issues, don't I?
I know I do, but I also don't know where all of my books are, but I have a pretty good idea. But first things first. So yeah, so that's that.
Understood. All right, so let me wrap up my rapid fire with my last few books. So next up is Eat the Rich, number 4. This is published by Boom Studios. It's written by Sarah Gailey with art by Pius Bake. Colors are by Roman Titov and letters by Cardinal Ray. So, spoiler alert, Eat the Rich kind of takes its title very literally, but it's not exactly what you think. Essentially, this story has a great sequence in it and a great twist to the ending, because it definitely follows up on something that was teased in the first issue. I'm being extremely vague because I don't want to necessarily spoil it. It's 4 issues in, and it's probably worth a quick read if you're into something that's a little offbeat, maybe something that's not superhero based. So take a look at it when you get a chance. Eat the Rich, number 4. Next up is X-Force number 25. I know Roddy Cat and I just had a quick discussion about this issue just prior to jumping on. This issue is written by Benjamin Percy with art by Robert Gill, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by, as I said earlier, our favorite paisan at VC, Joe Caramagna. This issue has some really, I want to say, incongruent elements. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily elements that are conflicting, but something's definitely incongruent. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, we have what appears to be an ode to Point Break. Not the remake, the OG Point Break. No, we don't have a scene where someone says, I am an FBI agent. Rather, we have some serious introspection by Wolverine and a study of possibly mutant surfers off the coast of Krakoa.
Yeah, so as Agent 70 said earlier, this is a weird issue. And it definitely starts out weird because, first of all, like you said, I didn't catch the point blank thing, but I kind of get what he's saying in that. Like, first of all,
no, the point break. Point blank is something else.
I'm sorry, did I say blank? I meant break. Yeah. That's definitely a different thing. Yeah,
it's all good.
That's a gross point blank, but that's another different thing. But yeah, so the Wolverine gets a surfboard, not just any old surfboard. One made out of adamantium. I made a joke that said he's now become the Silver Surfer in my notes, because he's got this big silver killer weapon made out of the same stuff his bones is laced with. And I'm sitting here like, all right, I get personalizing your surfboards. That's taking a little too far, because he could pretty much wipe out and kill his own damn self if it happens to come back on him and just slice his head off or something. But obviously, and even as said in this book, in this issue, like it's a vehicle and a weapon, which, as we both agreed before the show when we talked about it, is going to come into play at some point during this arc, for certain.
Right. Exactly. This is the first issue of. We're not sure how many issues this story is going to take up, but at some point, the surfboard as a weapon. The way Forge explains it is that it's finned with adamantium, so it's coated with it. It's not completely an adamantium surfboard, which would make it ridiculously heavy.
Also,
but the bottom line is that it's a weapon, as Roddy Cat put it. So it's going to come back at some point as a weapon.
Also, notably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, most surfboards only have like one fin or something at the bottom of it, if that. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I don't know surfboards. So
no. That's the design that we were shown seemed to be, not a standard one, but definitely something that is common.
Gotcha. Okay, because I figured it's like, okay, well, he's got 3 claws and it's got 3 fins, so that was something he made custom for that reason. But also, I would imagine, I guess it could help with the surfing. I don't know. Didn't seem to help him that much. While he was actually riding it, but that's a whole nother situation. The fact, and I'm thinking one of the incongruities that Agent 70 is getting to really quickly is the fact, well, at least this is what got me, the fact that Wolverine got taken in by these may possibly not be mutants that just so happen to show up, that probably surfed in from some ship somewhere else for reasons that we'll probably may or may not get to, and Wolverine's just like, oh, I guess you're mutants. So, because Krakoa is a big island, it's impossible to know all of them. But the fact that he got seemingly taken in so quickly by them, because I half expected, like, oh no, you're not no mutant, or you're not even from around. You would think any Jokers you don't know, you'd be like suspicious of. And even at a certain point when they were talking about an aspect or two of Krakoa, should have tinted him off, especially as Agent 70 said before, he's a part of security, mind you. So you would think that would have kind of, given Wolverine, who's been around quite a good while, would have given him a little bit of, this person doesn't know this. Like, and granted, you could safely say, well, maybe they're a newer mutant that just came on the island or something. You could probably explain it away some kind of dumb way, but still, the fact that these characters were kind of asking these questions would have thrown up some red flags somewhere, you would think.
I mean, the character that he's dealing with seemed to have an intimate knowledge of Krakoa. So that's why I kind of jumped into the idea that this character was in fact one of the mutants on Krakoa, which, lends itself to a betrayal as opposed to an invasion. And that's what we get. We get what seems to be, at least in my mind, in my opinion, at least to this point, in terms of what we've learned so far, is a betrayal most foul, because we have what amounts to a baby napping. And that's not cool. That is not cool at all, folks. Not cool, not cool. Related to this baby napping is the other part of this story, or this issue, the more kind of incongruent part, as I was saying earlier, which is I need a little space talk or telepathic chat between, is it Phoebe the Cuckoo?
Yes, I forgot that happened.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we get a conversation.
Quentin Quire.
It's not you, it's me type of conversation between Phoebe the Cuckoo and Quentin Quire. And it's something that has been kind of brewing, but kind of not. I was a little bit taken by surprise. I don't know about you.
No, because I think I've been. No, this come up in the past.
It's been kind of brewing, hasn't it?
Yes.
So it wasn't that big a surprise, but at the same time, I was like, ooh, that's kind of cold.
Yeah.
The way it was done and the way it played out.
I'm not a fan of Quentin Quire, but I felt bad for him then. I legit kind of felt bad. I was like, damn, you dumped him like that. That's fucked up.
Right. I'm just like, wow. It's at the end of the day, I don't know what to make of the Stepford Cuckoos. I really don't, in terms of a group of characters. They're, it's just kind of, and you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, by the fact that I never got around to buying them as a group of Marvel Legends, that I just don't have much of an affinity for these characters.
Sure.
So I don't know what to make of them, and ultimately, it doesn't really mean much to me that this particular relationship has at least taken a break for the time being. But what we have now is the introduction of the hatchery with with these, or maybe not the introduction, maybe at least the highlighting of the hatchery,
right,
with this other part of the story with Wolverine and the mutant surfers.
Yeah, I don't think they're mutants. But and going back to what you were saying about the knowledge of Krakoa real quick before, because we get then after this we can deal with it. But I'm sitting here like, if they did actually know the island, the quote unquote mistake they would have made would not have been such a mistake. I think it's one of those tropes you see in the movie theaters where they're somebody's trying to get information and they just like, oh yeah. Now sometimes for comedic effect, it was like, oh yeah, that's what I meant over here or something like that. But just like, oh yeah, we want to go over here for this thing, and and the point is here, and then somebody mistakenly was like, oh no, you're wrong, it's over here, and then give them the information that they were actually looking for. Again, for Wolverine not to take up red flags for that, regardless of whether he knew, especially mentioning the hatchery or in that time, you would think would have given some red flags. Mm-hmm. But maybe just from the outside looking in, obviously, we can see more than when he's seeing at the time. But at the same time, like, I don't know, Wolverine's a little bit more seasoned. You would think something would have tapped him on the shoulder. So I don't know. But we'll see what happens after that. Because a napping does happen at the end of this, and they do make off with a couple of babies. Which has happened before, because like in that cable series, like, okay, mutant babies got kidnapped, although they were not on the island when this happened. So it's kind of curious that another mutant baby napping happens in the X books.
Righto. All right. Last but not least for me, I did this in a little bit of a reverse order because I circled back to Darkhold Wasp #1. This is actually written and colored by Jordi Belair, with illustrations by Claire Rowe and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So I admit to not being up on the Darkhold miniseries, these one-shots that are being used to highlight that group of characters that have been gathered by Wanda to... correct me if I'm wrong, being gathered by Wanda as a result of that Darkhold one-shot?
Yes, Wanda and Doctor Doom all
right.
But see, that's the thing. That's the problem. Like, that happened, and then the rest of these one-shots have just been like, oh, no, he's stories from in the world of the, whatever what-if world situation dealing with the Darkhold. There's nothing really linking outside of the fact that, these don't go the way a normal what-if. Well, I guess you could say that.
Well, from what I recall, and it's been a while since I've read that Darkhold issue, from what I recall, things went south.
Something happened, yes.
Very quickly at the end, where they read too far or they looked into the Darkhold too much, and it turns out that they were all possessed at some point by Chthon.
That part of so Wanda has had
something like that.
Chthon, because she definitely has been possessed by Chthon before. Doom thought he could like, no, I got this. I can go. I can read the book, and I got to find a way to read the book, and I can master this. Typical Doom stuff. Like, I got this. I will save the world, or whatever the case may be, and I don't need anybody to help. That ends up not going that way, and I think they end up trying to finally, because Wanda's like, you need to get a group together. Doom's like, nope, I got this, and then they ended up making the group after that. Now, again, none of that has to do with these one shots. Has so far had anything to do with these one shots that have presented themselves since then. Not the Iron Man one, the Blade one from last week or whatever, or this one, because they've just been self-contained stories. Now, maybe it's like a what if, and they might come back into a play and they follow and they come together. I doubt it, but or that what if series from Disney Plus, I specifically, but I kind of doubt it.
No, I think what we're exploring is, their internal stories, like their individual stories in the course of their possession by the Darkhold. So I'm going to have to go back and look. Maybe while Roddy Cat is going through his rapid fire, I'll take a look as well. But bottom line with this issue is that we have Janet Van Dyne kind of doing a retrospective on her life and career in the Marvel universe, and seeing how, as the female Wasp, she's the one that has the stinger, and kind of going over her history with Henry Pym, and where things went wrong and might have taken a different turn had she acted in a different way. And obviously under the influence of the Darkhold, this is my theory here, under the influence of the Darkhold, she takes this to a particular logical conclusion.
Yeah, why you definitely go look that up, because I don't believe anyone actually got possessed during the course of the Alpha issue. Like I said, the only talk of possession I remember, and again, this has been a while. I mean, that book's been out almost a month at this point or two, so again, a lot of books we read. Wanda talked about her, the fact that she has been, because she was possessed, that she, has some intimate knowledge about how to deal with Chthon. I don't remember any of the people that have had one shots being in that issue. And maybe that's the case, I could be wrong. I probably need to go back and read it myself just to kind of check that out. And these just so happen to be the one shots of the world, of the world of which a Darkhold what if, basically.
Right.
As you were saying. I said, I don't remember off that. But either way, it doesn't seem like they kind of connect. I mean, this is not the first time Marvel's done this, or probably DC either, but like there's been these hey, here's these Alpha issues and these Omega issues, and then here's like 3 or 4 one shots that are of the world but don't necessarily have much to do with it. Like I most recently, famously, that Avengers thing, the Heroes Reborn thing. Like it was pretty much all those one shots in there didn't necessarily have any connective tissue outside of the fact that they were in the world of the Heroes Reborn thing, but they didn't have anything to do with the Alpha or the Omega issues of that particular miniseries.
Yeah, so I was remembering this correctly. So,
okay.
Darkhold #1 was published and it was out in shops on September 29th. So if you look at the September 29th group of books,
sure,
you'll be able to find Darkhold Alpha #1. Mm-hmm. And at the end, what we get is, what the Scarlet Witch and Doom are doing, and Victorious are doing, it looks like.
Yes.
All the heroes are take a look into the Darkhold, and it turns out that they read too far into the Darkhold and turned into you're getting the Darkhold defiled. Okay. And then we get the red and the black kind of alternate, metamorphosed, changed and altered heroes: Iron Man, Spidey, Black Bolt, Black Panther, and Wasp. So my guess is that what we're seeing in these one-shots is a description of what is happening as these individual characters are reading through the pages of the Darkhold.
Weird. That doesn't... Sure. Wait, did you say Blade?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was about to say that. No, okay. Well, sure. That being the case, it is what it is. They still don't seem to have any connective tissue out of that. But if that being the case, then that makes a lot more sense than what I said.
Right.
Earlier.
I mean, at the end of the day, that handy dandy page where the credits are. They also give you a summary.
Mm-hmm.
So what it says here is that they give the basic Marvel story that we are used to, and then we also get when Hank's personal demons made the relationship unsafe, Janet ended things and moved on with her life, or at least that was her story, until she read from the Darkhold in an attempt to stop the elder god Chthon from manifesting on Earth, and the pages of the sinister book showed her a more twisted path. So I think that's the premise of all of these one shots.
Right. So kind of still like a what if, but
more centered on these characters that are in this Darkhold story.
Sure. Okay. That was it.
All right, and that's it for me.
Yeah, I was about to say it's still an interesting, weird read. It was but we'll see how those things play out. For myself, I only got a couple of books, so this should go by relatively fast. Actually, I forgot one. So and I definitely don't want to skip out on that one because I enjoyed that one. While I type that one in. Spider-Woman number 17, actually is my next book. Bing. There we go. Written by Carla Pacheco, art by Perry Perez, color artist Frank Darmada, and letters by Travis Lanham. So this is a potential click of the week for me because this was kind of fun. Jess visits Lindsay McCabe on the set, she's a stunt woman, by the way, if you did not know, on the set of a Western that she was shooting. And apparently there's a star there who, the star that Lindsay is doing stunts for is a particular kind of star. I will say that you will have to read the book and see what I mean. But she keeps referencing a certain person's guise that she trained under, which is kind of fun. But as I say in my notes, this is pretty much Jess and Lindsay's quote unquote fun romp through it on a movie set for a Western, because something ends up happening. Well, there's some action happening. Supposedly, Jess is just supposed to be taking it easy because of the events of last issue, because she's still in the cast, so she can't use her venom blast. But like I said, she's kind of supposedly resting, but she still ends up getting some action with her and Lindsay. That was due to something that Lindsay supposedly had done in Madripoor. That has come back to collect from her. There's one particular action scene that was kind of funny because the footnotes of it are amusing. And apparently in the end of this, that there is a tied to that Devil's Reign event that is coming up soon, which I'm not sure what this particular thing is going to have to do with that, but I guess we'll see. Next up, though, Black Panther Legends number 2. And this is kind of, I guess this is kind of a brief retelling of T'Challa's, not necessarily his origin, but kind of his history to a point. Because last issue, we kind of saw up into his father's death. And there was a trip to South Africa with him and Hunter, the White Wolf, and showing the inequalities they're in there. In this particular issue, this falls after the death of T'Challa's dad, which, by the way, let me go ahead and say the creative team is writer Tony Onibuchi, art by Satoru Fiat Zigby and Fran Galen, Color artist Paris Aileen and Ian Herring, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So yeah, T'Challa goes on this walkabout or whatever the case may be, and ends up meeting a very familiar character, a very important familiar character in his life. If you're watching the video version, you can see who that is. Not surprising. I don't know if this has anything to do with the book or the miniseries between them two that came out a few years back, because I don't believe it played out exactly the way this did, but probably some of it did. But eventually, T'Challa's called back to Wakanda because of some things happening there that may or may not have to do with White Wolf. That specifically may have to do with White Wolf, actually. But I guess we'll see what happens in the next episode. There was a mention of internet here, and this is T'Challa when he was young, when he and Storm were both young. So I kind of hit upon that for about 10 seconds, and then I thought about it. It's like, well, Wakanda probably would have internet at this time if the rest of the world didn't. So, because I know they didn't do any kind of time stepping here that we know of. So it wouldn't be like they just moved out a few years. Maybe they did. We don't remember it or not, but I doubt it. So that was the only thing that kind of saved that from me, because I'm like, why would you mention the internet here if they're supposed to be young, and then we know both of these characters are old enough to be before internet. But again, Wakanda. So kind of let that go. Next up,
right,
anywho,
and also Rubber Band Timeline.
Yeah, I was thinking it was kind of less that than more than, well, Wakanda's so advanced that they probably would have had internet, but at the same time, yeah, I thought that may have been something that they're doing here. So it could very well be that. Could very well be. Let's see. Last but not least, Nubia and the Amazons, #2. I have been enjoying reading this book. It is nicely written. The art is striking, and I've been loving it as I'm sitting here looking for the cover. There we go. Let's see. Story by Stephanie Williams and Vida Ayala. Script by Stephanie Williams. Pencils by Aletha Martinez. Inks by Mark Morales and Aletha Martinez. Colors by Emilio Lopez and Alan Pasalacqua, and letters by Becca Carey. So yeah, basically, Nubia is looking for guidance from the guidance goddess, because at this point she is the queen of Themyscira, given that title given to her by at some point by Hippolyta, and I believe this happened in that Infinite Destinies thing, or whatever the case was, Infinite Frontiers, book, but I never read that, so I don't know. So this is kind of taking place after that, but I'm not sure if this time frame is matching up between Future State. Maybe, because I don't know, the Wonder Girl is happening at some point. This is happening at some point, and then that might all be together. I don't know. But regardless, Nubia is unsure of her station because she knows. She's pretty much unsure about some things, so she seeks guidance, and there's some other stuff that's going on because there's this threat that's kind of floating about the island looking for Medusa's head, and I think it is maybe Medusa. And then there's another threat that was kind of teased the last issue from a vision from Penelope that she's getting some guidance from another Amazon. So there's a couple of things kind of happening in this miniseries, and this is 2 of 6, by the way, if you're interested in checking this out. And the other part of this is Nubius is supposed to be picking a new champion to Hodor a certain thing on the island, and she's kind of seemed like she might have chosen this person, and this person also may have more of a past history with Nubia, thanks to some flashbacks, but I'm not really sure how that's going on. So I don't know. Like I said, I've been enjoying it. Like I said, if you are interested in the character of Nubia and the goings on therein, you should definitely check it out. Like I said, the art is lovely. I love it. And it's written quite well. So you definitely should check it out. And that's it for me. So clicks of the week.
Okay. Clicks of the week.
We didn't get anything from our other hosts, so what you got?
I will say that I have a few candidates. I definitely enjoyed reading this week. Some of them were unexpected. The unexpected one was Sword number 10. I thought that was a really entertaining issue because I did not expect to get that much from reading about WizKid.
Yeah.
But I liked how it was written.
Indeed.
I will also say that I definitely appreciated what was happening in the pages of Moon Knight number 5. And I think those are my two main competitors for Click of the Week for me. How about you?
So, as far as potentials, like I said, Spider-Man number 17 is definitely one of them. Newbie and Amazon number 2 is definitely in that running, and I definitely agree with you on Moon Knight number 5. I'm weirdly, and as much as I hate to say this again, kind of wanting to put in Amazing Spider-Man 78 BEY, but there's part of me that doesn't really want to do that for reasons that should have been apparent from why we were talking about it, even coming into this new arc. So, but yeah, I'm thinking.
I think I'm just going to go with Moon Knight number 5, but I definitely liked Sword number 10. I really appreciated the storytelling that Al Ewing and Jacopo Camani put in that book.
Okay. All right. That's, again, a solid pick. So I can't be mad at you for it. As I flash it back on the screen here. And that was the wrong white, but that's fine. This is slightly kind of tough. Like I said, Spider-Man was good. Spider-Woman, excuse me, and Nubian Empire, Amazons. I may just go with, you know what? I'm gonna go with Spider-Woman.
Okay.
Like I said, I
have to catch up on that because I was confused. I was flipping through it earlier, and I was like, "Why is she in a cast?"
Right. And that last issue will bear that out.
Right.
So
I figured as much.
Yeah.
And, what's this deal with Lindsay McCabe? And because I know she's been in and out of this book.
Right.
And now we have a cliffhanger ending, but then we're jumping right into Devil's Reign. So I presume this is going to be put on hold for a little while.
Right. And that was the weird part about it. I was like, okay, so you go through this whole issue and then this happens, and like I said earlier, whether that's going to have anything to do with Devil's Reign, or like you said, more likely get put on hold because of it. Who's to say? Because I thought that was just kind of a weird. It wasn't really a weird pivot, but it just seems kind of strange at the outset, I guess.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a decent cliffhanger.
Right.
But it seems so weird that, like, literally it's only because Jessica's munching so hard on something that she's distracted.
Well, okay, so no, that was the thing. So, well, the only reason why that was because Lindsay had sent her out. So there was actually some time in between, that happening and a page before it or a panel or two before it. So,
okay, I'll have to take a look at it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't just like an instant thing. So yeah. But yeah, so there we go, folks. And actually, excuse me, let me just do this real quick and Spider-Woman 17. Definitely read Nubia and the Amazons #2. Like I said, well written, beautiful art. You know, you can't really go wrong with it if you are a fan of Wonder Woman's sister.
Alrighty.
And with that, we are going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we start off as we do every week about this time with the cinematic news. I love how there's a story on why didn't the ring turn Sauron invisible. No, I do not have it in the lineup, but just saying, just saw it in this article. But X-Men writer appears to confirm MCU's Daredevil reboot is in the works, or does he? So X-Men writer David Hayter, old Solid Snake himself, if you know who that is, recently appeared to confirm that a Daredevil reboot is in the works for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. At London Comic-Con, Hayter said, they're doing a reboot of Daredevil, and Daredevil was always a very important character to me, and I love the first way they did it. This is his talk. I guess this is his quote here, by the way. But there are certain things that I would adapt from the Frank Miller run on Daredevil that used to really mean a lot to me. Long story short, there's an update to this, and to say that he has clarified his comments because the Marvel snipers probably got to him in between this story coming out, because he has clarified that with an update that says he has no insider information and that he misspoke, believing that he had read about a Daredevil reboot elsewhere.
That was a warning shot from the Marvel snipers.
Basically. So that's why I had to put this one here. And I was like, okay, this was too good not to put in. Next up, though.
That's funny. Alrighty. John Wick 4 news. A set video shows Donnie Yen saying goodbye to Keanu Reeves on his last day of filming. After 4 months of shooting, the Rogue One actor took to social media to announce he's done shooting for the highly anticipated action sequel. Wow, they've been shooting for 4 months already?
Yeah, right? Time flies.
With 2022 less than 2 months away, one of the most anticipated films to look forward to in the new year is the next chapter in the John Wick franchise. While it is still currently filming, one of its new cast members officially wrapped, that is Donnie Yen, and he took to Instagram to make that announcement. So he says, quote, "After 4 months away from my family, I'm finally going home. It has been super fun and creative working with both Keanu and Chad. I think you guys are really going to love this one. See you on the big screen." The video is a nice look behind the scenes that shows the bond that Yen and Keanu Reeves created on the set of the film, with Reeves's knowingly breathtaking personality shine all the way through. Okay. Included in the footage is Yen showing off some of the parting gifts left for the famous action star by both Reeves and director Chad Stahelski. Yen ended off his post by writing, "For me, it's even more rewarding from this unique experience is that I'd gained genuine friendships." Okay.
I was going to bring up a misspeaking of my own from probably a few months or probably half a year back about Donnie Yen and Keanu working together, but I won't. John Wick prequel series, The Continental, cast Peter Green, Jeremy Bobb, and Ayomide Adegun. I'm sorry if I screwed up your name. I apologize profusely. So yeah. It seems that the Continental is still a thing that is happening, and these people have been added to the cast. Apparently, Mel Gibson has also been cast, so I guess I'm not going to be watching this show. Does it say when?
Neither that nor Lethal Weapon 5, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Of which he's supposedly in talks to direct. Which, talk about somebody who's too old for that shit, and in addition to his other real world ramblings. Anyway, there is currently no release date for the Continental, but the fourth John Wick movie we know is May 27, 22. And speaking of,
right, so talk about spin-offs galore. Ana de Armas is apparently in talks to star in another John Wick spin-off titled Ballerina over at Lionsgate. An individual with knowledge of the project told The Wrap. Ballerina follows a female assassin and will be developed as an extension to the John Wick universe. Shay Hatton, who wrote John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, also wrote the spec script that was acquired by Lionsgate in 2017. And Len Wiseman, who did Total Recall, is directing the feature. Okay. Apparently, fans of the John Wick franchise know that the ballerina character made a brief appearance in the third film of the franchise. That would be Parabellum.
Right.
And I watched it. I'm like, who are we talking about exactly?
Exactly. And I was the same way. And then I thought about it. There was that part with Angelica Houston where she was directing some ballerinas, like
Correct.
So I'm thinking.
I wonder if this is Angelica Houston's character,
or so whoever was on stage. Perhaps, maybe it could be one of the other. We don't know. Yeah,
possibly.
So and it took me just now to actually really think about that.
I had a feeling it was the Angelica Houston character as I was reading the story, but you never know.
Yeah. That's kind of the logical conclusion. Like maybe it's her as a younger.
Right.
like a Continental was kind of a backstory on her character or something too.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say? Next up, though,
man, I was about to say, who knew they would be mining the John Wick universe for all this IP?
Yeah, I know, right? From
that humble movie, that humble first movie that nobody gave any mind to, and it kind of caught on with word of mouth, and now we've got, multiple sequels and spin-offs now.
Yeah, worked for Fast and Furious to a point. Yeah. One Piece live action Netflix series casted Straw Hat Pirates. I feel like
I was about to say, is the Bebop live action live yet on Netflix?
Not yet. It is coming soon though. I believe it's maybe next week actually.
Sorry to interrupt. Go
No, you're
ahead.
good. You're good. Because I just saw a story on that actually made me curious of the same thing, and I believe might be coming next week.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, there's going to be a One Piece live action Netflix series. Oh boy. So it's been 4 years since the live action adaptation of the. Wait, really? It's been 4 years since the live action adaptation of the manga and anime One Piece was announced. I did not know that. I don't remember that, but okay. And now we know who will play the leading roles as the infamous Straw Hat Pirates in the Netflix series. There's a bunch of names here that I don't necessarily know of, and I'm not going to read off. So, but yeah, they got Luffy and crew on decky, and the showrunner, and there's no release date in that. But there's apparently an introduction video, so you can check that out in the article. Next.
Bebop, Cowboy Bebop, the live action series on Netflix, actually will be released on Friday, November 19th in mere minutes.
Okay. Yes, tomorrow as of this recording then.
Right. So I guess we will have a chance to watch this over the weekend and possibly comment on it next week.
Yes.
Okay, next up. So
Well,
this is the first.
Yeah, I'm about to say before you say, I'm sorry about that. Before you get into this, so this is where we're, and I think Agent Cyber was about to say that, but this is where we get into the Disney Plus for stuff, for the Disney Plus Day stuff that came out last week. We're not going to go into everything that was announced because there was some Pixar stuff and there was some Pixar stuff, there was some dark Star Wars stuff, and some Marvel stuff. We'll probably be focusing more on that stuff outside of this particular article.
Okay, so I'm going to skip this one?
No, do it. Do it. Do this
okay,
one,
just very quickly, Disney Plus. Yeah, Disney Plus. Yeah. I'm sorry. We're talking over each other. You were saying?
No, that was my fault. I was just saying that, there was just more stuff than this and whatever that we're going to talk about, but I had this stuff in here anyway, so go for it.
Gotcha. So Disney Plus Day provided first looks at upcoming animated series on the streamer, including trailers for Big Hero 6 spin-off series Baymax and The Proud Family Louder and Prouder, a revival of the 2001 Disney Channel series, as well as art for Zootopia Plus, a short-form series based on the animated movie franchise. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
next up,
we get into. Oh no, actually, this is after this. Disney teases major Darkwing Duck news for 2022. So apparently on Disney Plus Day, there was an announcement for a live-action animated Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie, which I didn't get a article for, but nevertheless, in that a script for Darkwing Duck could be spotted in the background that read "Production Draft 2020," which is leading folks to believe that there's probably going to be some Darkwing Duck also in the future, which would make sense because that DuckTales thing kind of hit off, and I believe they have alluded to or had Darkwing Duck in the show up there, which I still haven't really. So I can't. Apparently, they're also rebooting Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers with a movie. So there you go. Next up.
Alrighty, next up. So this is a big article because this lists the Marvel shows announced during Disney Plus Day. So a lot of new superhero content is coming to the streaming service. Rodicat, do you have this article up so we can alternate going through this?
Sure.
All right. So first up, they announced that X-Men 97 is coming out. And that is a new project that will pick up where the original X-Men the Animated Series ended following its 5-year run between 1992 and 1997. X-Men 97 will debut in 2023. Interesting that they may be following up on some of the stories that were originally published or produced under the Fox wing, but they own Fox now, so what does it matter?
Exactly. And I believe there was another article that I do have attached to this saying that gave the returning voice characters, including one person who said that they didn't want to come back because it was the person that played Jubilee and she's not Asian. But apparently she's still coming back to play Jubilee. And I believe the person that played Cyclops is no longer with us as of this year. So I'm not. Then they did not. The article did not announce a casting of that. I don't believe of that character. But next up, Moon Knight was also shown on this Disney Plus video, which is still on site, by the way. You can go check it out. And there was also. So we got a logo for all of these shows, but some of these shows got like first looks or some more footage behind that we have not seen previous to now. And this is one of those cases because we got a first look at we got first look at Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, and with a little teaser trailer that you can check out in the article here. Next up is She-Hulk. Tatiana Maslany, finally confirmed, right? Plays Jennifer Walters, a lawyer who inherits Hulk-like powers. We also got a little bit of a video clip that was part of this montage that was made available to Disney Plus subscribers, where we also see Mark Ruffalo making an appearance.
Disney has obviously confirmed that he's going to reprise his role as Bruce Banner. She-Hulk will hit Disney Plus sometime in 2022. Next up.
Not in a sling, by the way, the Hulk is, as opposed to when he showed up in Shang-Chi. But obviously he's had time to heal. And yeah, I don't know. So real quick, what did you think about, did you see that little teaser for She-Hulk?
I did. I watched all of them. So I got a kick out of seeing how lean they made She-Hulk.
Yes.
She is not buff, but she's definitely athletic.
Yes.
You know, she's not one of the... think back, ladies and gentlemen, of a certain vintage to American Gladiators. This is not one of the... It's not a depiction of one of the more buff female gladiators. It's one of the more athletic gladiators.
Sure. And there was also a very classic reference to the old Incredible Hulk series that was used here right off the bat, which I was like, okay.
Oh, yes.
I appreciate that.
I appreciated that. I definitely appreciated that. Jinx, right?
Right. But next up, let's see, we got Miss Marvel, which also had some a teaser trailer on or some footage show up here, because we've had teaser trailers before now, but this is another in the line of official teaser trailers where we see Kamala Khan, and I believe we see a little bit of her power use. This is one I did not get to see yet, actually. But I believe they do show off a little bit of her powers in this teaser. And
yeah, just a touch.
Yeah.
Just a touch. I think they're still going to give us a lot more to kind of figure out in terms of how they're adapting her powers to the big screen or the small screen.
Right. So next up is
Echo. So Hawkeye won't debut until a week from now. But Disney already has plans for a live-action spin-off starring Alako Cox's character Maya Lopez, Echo. We'll learn more about Lopez when Hawkeye starts streaming on November 24th. Spoiler alert, I might get into an advanced screening of Hawkeye early next week. I'll find out tomorrow.
Oh, interesting. Because that starts on the 24th, so how much
right,
are you
but I might be able to see it on Monday.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Right. You know, this is a benefit to the... I don't subscribe to Marvel Unlimited, the upper tier. But I know someone who does, and I've been invited along. So hopefully we'll find out tomorrow from the date of this recording whether or not we'll be able to go on Monday.
I should have checked my emails then. And also, I think I can't remember which tier of Marvel Unlimited I am in. Regardless,
I'm on the budget tier, the lowest tier. So I don't get the action figure. I don't get the all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I was in that tier for a good while, and I think I might actually have fallen back down to the
budget tier.
Yeah, I think I can't remember honestly, but regardless, next up is we get the logo for Ironheart.
Right. Forgive me for always yelling out Ironheart because I think of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Lionheart. I apologize, folks. That is a dated reference from an admittedly dated host.
I thought you were going to say Braveheart, honestly.
No, Lionheart! Because they don't yell out Braveheart in Braveheart.
Do they?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
No, they yell out freedom!
That is true. So, yeah. But Dominique Thorne was starring...
That is our second Mel Gibson reference of the night. No, isn't that crazy?
That's ridiculous. We really...
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom! That's number 3.
Yeah, and I'm not a big Mel Gibson fan at this point, so this is real silly. Anyway, Dominic Thorne was talking.
I was about to say I choose to remember the movies I had a lot of fun with, like Agreed. Lethal Weapon, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Agreed. Sure. But yeah, Riri Williams, aka Lion. I said now you got me saying it. Ironheart.
You're going to say Lionheart.
And we know
which is a different Marvel character, by the way.
That is true. Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Captain Britain kind of spinoff. Right. Dominic Thorne with Star. We already know that, but like I said, all we got is a logo here though. And next up.
Alrighty, next up is It was all along. We get the announcement that Agatha, House of Darkness, is going to have, is going to be the title of a new show, the live action spin-off series for Catherine Hahn's WandaVision character. And that'll be coming out at some point in the future.
Indeed. And next up is Secret Invasion, which we got actually a two blink if you mix image of Samuel Jackson sans eye patch, weirdly enough, just looking towards the camera, as you can see here on the if you're watching the video version. But we also got the logo for Secret Invasion.
Right, kind of straight out of Winter Soldier, like when he takes off the eye patch to activate the security protocol.
Yes. And also, weirdly enough, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he was like, I got my eye on you.
Right.
Oh, and everything, which no one remembers that because nobody watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But next up, we have the Season 2 logo pop up for What If Season 2. And next.
Oh, and we get an announcement of something that has created some stir among the fandom. We have the announcement of another animated series where Marvel plans to tell the story of Peter Parker before he became Spider-Man in the MCU. The title is Spider-Man Freshman Year. The studio says this one will celebrate the character's early comic book roots. And I think what a lot of people are afraid of is that it's going to yet be another time to see Uncle Ben Parker bite the big one.
Yeah, quite likely. But I guess we'll see. And yeah, it's called Spider-Man Freshman Year, as Agent 7, I think, may have said. And next up, we have I Am Groot, which apparently it's time for Groot to shine. Everyone's favorite Guardians of the Galaxy character will star in his own animated series titled I Am Groot. Again, no release date, but Kristen Lepore, best known for short films like Sweet Dreams and Bottle, will direct the project. Next.
All right, and last but not least, you know what the MCU is missing? Zombies, said no one ever, according to this Engadget article. But that didn't stop Disney from greenlighting an animated series that will pit some of your favorite heroes against an endless undead tide. This is straight out of the Marvel's What If animated series.
Right. And I believe, so the word this article doesn't necessarily go into, but I believe, no, maybe it doesn't. I thought there was a Hawkeye spot also, but this next article is from Sunday. But anyway, Hawkeye TV spot reveals who makes the Avengers trick arrows. There was a TV spot that showed up during Sunday Night Football, and it shows Clint making arrows. And I guess some footage that we have also seen already. Next up.
I did see that while I was watching the game, so that was pretty interesting to see. We also got, during Disney Plus Day, a first behind-the-scenes look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we finally get some footage. We get a video. The video is mostly an interview with Obi-Wan himself, Ewan McGregor, who gushes about his excitement for the show and for Star Wars in general. McGregor says that he's especially excited to be reunited with his prequel co-star Hayden Christensen, who will return in his role as Darth Vader. During the interview, the trailer cuts to a few pieces of concept art, which don't reveal much about the show, but do look great. We also get to see Christensen training for a lightsaber battle, a welcome promise. We also get a little bit of information and from director Deborah Chow.
Yeah, and apparently, according to this article, Ice Cube's son is going to be in this alongside Kumail Nanjiani from recently The Eternals, and Han from Fast and Furious. So that's going to be funny because I keep forgetting that he's in this thing. Next up, we get a first look from, I don't know if this was on the site or anything, but we do definitely get a first look from, and actually I think this might be old, but I thought I saw something that said there was something on Disney Plus Day that might have shown up. But this particular trailer is from, I think this particular article maybe from last year, so about Star Wars Andor and the first look they're in. So we're just gonna brush past that because that was the closest thing I could come to anything else from Disney Plus Day about that particular project. Next up.
Alrighty, next up in some unfortunate news, there is a delay in the production of Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and this delay is reportedly due to creative differences. So the recent production delay of Patty Jenkins's, that's the director, Rogue Squadron, is reportedly the latest clash between a Star Wars filmmaker and Lucasfilm executives. If a new report is to be believed, Patty Jenkins's Rogue Squadron, as I said, is the latest Star Wars movie to run up against these, quote, creative differences between a filmmaker and Lucasfilm executives. Puck has published a new essay claiming Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy should be replaced as the head of Star Wars, and the outlet claims it's spoken to sources inside Lucasfilm who feel the same. According to the piece, it's this behind-the-scenes tension that led to Rogue Squadron's recent production delay. Allegedly, Jenkins clashed creatively with executives under Kennedy's employ, including Senior Vice President Michelle Raywan. If true, then Rogue Squadron is just the latest Star Wars film since Disney's purchase of the media franchise that has undergone an upset due to disagreements between the creatives and the executives.
Okay.
The piece details apparently new issues, into an ongoing narrative that began in 2012 when Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Right. So a couple of things to note, and I thought almost about not putting this in the lineup, but, because one, there has been a lot of quote unquote websites or whatnot that, for reasons that are kind of dumb, personally, don't like the way Kathleen Kennedy is handling things because, we won't get into all that. But regardless, she ain't going nowhere because I believe she just got re-upped for another 3 years.
Yeah, her contract was just extended, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so she ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Now, the rest of that being, if there was indeed clashes or this particular quote-unquote outlet, whoever this is making stuff up because they're like muckraking, because again there are those type folks that are doing this kind of stuff because they're stupid and they don't like to see things change, so they make up these stories for that particular case. Whether that's the case and whether there's anything else behind this, who's to say? I know there's been a couple other outlets that picked up on this. I don't know whether there's any validity to any of that. So, and I don't know what that Pucky is, but I suspect it's probably one of those sites. Regardless, the big news, ladies and gentlemen, and you've probably seen this unless you've been under a rock or actively trying not to see this. The Spider-Man No Way Home trailer has been released. And I will go ahead and say that in our clickbait section that there was a reaction video from Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Benelon. I can't remember how you pronounce his name, but
I think it's just Battleon.
Battleon.
Like the way
thank you. Okay. That came out the day before the trailer hit, but I think they went back and interspersed the trailer underneath it and released it afterwards.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that part because I don't think they were aware that the trailer was showing underneath them. But regardless, you can see that in the clickbait section. But that being said, like I said, the trailer did drop. I watched it. I believe Agent 70 also watched it. Or wait, no, you didn't watch it.
I did watch it. I did watch it.
Okay.
I just didn't watch the reaction.
Gotcha. That's right. You did say that. So, what you think?
Very interesting. because I definitely subscribe to the conspiracy theory, or the mild conspiracy theory. It's not a real conspiracy theory, that they scrubbed out the images of several characters that are probably going to make an appearance in this movie from the trailer, because the lizard makes a suspicious movement in one of the scenes that's shown.
Yes,
and it's like a phantom hit him, and we wonder what that phantom was
or who.
Exactly.
But yes, other than that, it was great. Like, it does seem to be kind of a reverse Spider-Verse-ish in a kind of a way. There was a reference. I was watching obviously, because this trailer dropped, and there are those Easter egg videos that people put out because of content. It says, "Hey, here's the Easter eggs you might have missed," and a couple of them that I kind of brushed up against was like. One of them I brushed up against was like, there was a reference that Doctor Strange made in this to Scooby-Dooing it. And
right.
The video kind of mentioned, it was like, well, it's about just the fact that Scooby-Doo is, it's Scooby-Doo and they solve mysteries and they get the plucky teens to get together to solve mysteries.
Yeah, but I assumed it was because it was a bunch of kids.
Right. But I think it goes a little further than that, because there was a particular Scooby-Doo show from years back called 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where I think they ended up letting out a bunch of ghosts by mistake, and they have to go back and recapture them. And I believe this, this is just me believing this, and maybe somebody else says it, that given what's going on in this trailer, and particularly with a particular box, might be more along that line.
You got me on that one.
I have watched.
You got me on that one.
I've watched a lot of TV, folks.
So when it comes, so I guess the one thing I would add before we move on.
Yes.
And this isn't really a spoiler, but we essentially get, if you've watched this trailer, mild spoiler alert if you have not watched this trailer, is that we essentially have seen what amounts to a version of the Sinister Six. We have 5 characters revealed so far. Whether or not we get a 6th character, whether or not we get more than 6, there is a tease of maybe more than 6 coming in. Because we don't know what role Michael Keaton's Vulture is going to play. We also don't know what role, if any, Tom Hardy's Venom may play or may not play, based on how Venom 2's post-credit scene may or may not play into this.
True.
So we don't know, which provides for a lot of speculation fodder leading up to this Spider-Man movie, which is not far away anymore. Tickets go on sale on Cyber Monday.
Yes, it's not far from home. Yeah, I think the only other thing, and there was, it doesn't matter. We could talk about this afterwards. But yeah, there was like the thing that Doc Ock was being held in looked like the cell from Avengers, but I don't know. People are saying otherwise. Either way, yeah, we'll see when it happens. And obviously, there's the talk of like, are you gonna go see this in the theater? And I'm creeping very much closer to yes.
Oh yeah,
then
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I will be there. We will be in movie protocol.
Yeah, even though I don't want to have the same issue that I had from my last outing. Agent 70 is still laughing at me about that. That's great. That's great.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at my recollection of the story that you told us on air about the awfulness that your seat neighbor was exhibiting in your theater.
Yes, you can go back. What was that? 2 weeks ago? Or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, but that was what? It was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks when Eternals came out. For go back to that episode for that story, because I'm not going to recount it here. But anyway, let's keep this train around.
I consider myself fortunate that I'm usually surrounded by people I know in the theater, so I don't have to worry too much about that insanity. Although that doesn't account for the people in front of or behind me, so you never know.
Yeah, I don't have that luxury. But moving on, Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock.
Oh no, wait, I was gonna say this is mine, so I'll take this one. Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock, Back to the Rock. Trailer shows the Fraggles returning for an Apple TV Plus reboot. So those of a certain era, I mean, come on, it's a certain vintage. Those of a certain era will recall that Jim Henson's Muppets were, for a relatively brief period in the 80s, joined by the colorful, carefree Fraggles. The 22-inch tall, that was that specific, the 22-inch tall citizens of Fraggle Rock. Let's see, while it was announced last year that Apple TV Plus had ordered a new full-length series off the back of the successful Fraggle Rock Rock On shorts, a trailer for the reboot Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock has just been released. The trailer certainly lives up to Apple's earlier promise to capture the, quote, same spirit of the classic, with its bold litany of colors and characters backed by that catchy old theme song. Classic Fraggles Gobo, Red, Wembley, Moki, and Boober are all there, and a statement from Apple promises a new collection of Fraggle characters. Okay.
I really hope people have been hearing us this whole time, because something looks like it was muted.
Oh no!
So that kind of bothers me. But we're gonna keep pushing, and if it doesn't, I'll have to fix the YouTube version. Because the audio is fine, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. But no one said anything, so go figure. The Batman animated series gets a remastered Blu-ray release. And it's going to be available February 1st, 2022. It's going to be the fully remastered series of 65 episodes. And like I said, it's going to be on Blu-ray. Next up.
Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender adds Kim's Convenience alum Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, Lim K-Soo, and Ken Leung to cast and begins production.
Yeah. So apparently Paul Sun-Hyung Lee is playing Iroh. So that's cool. Which I can kind of see that, because having heard him in other stuff, like, yeah, I can. Obviously, Mako's died, so he could not reprise that role, and he in fact died halfway through the animated version. So that's yeah. But anyway, yeah, cool. Hopefully, it's better than that movie that M. Night did. Anyway, next up, Sesame Street introduces first Asian American Muppet, Ji Young.
Hold on. We have a particular sound effect for this.
You would wonder why it took so long, but we will get to that in a second. Well, actually, this article's not going to say something. But regardless, Sesame Street is making history by introducing its first Asian American Muppet. On Monday, the popular kids show welcomed Ji Young, a 7-year-old Korean American, to its family of puppet characters. Sesame Workshop puppeteer Kathleen Kim performs the historic character. Now, you might be wondering why we're talking about this on a Comic Book Chronicles show. Well, Sesame Street also announced a new TV special that celebrates the diversity of the Asian and Pacific Islander community, debuting on Thanksgiving. CS Coming Together, a Sesame Street special, will feature celebrity guests such as Shang-Chi himself, Simu Liu, Top Shelf host Padme Lakshmi, To All the Boys I've Loved Before actor Anna Cathcart, and more germane to this particular crowd, comic book artist Jim Lee, chef Melissa King, and tennis star Naomi Osaka. The new special will be available to watch on HBO Max, PBS Kids, Sesame Street's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram channels. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, definitely.
And also, this article also goes into a little bit of backstory, or not backstory, into the story of probably what they're going to be talking about during the course of that special, but also the impetus seemed like of why this character is introduced. So, next up.
Alrighty, next up. What do we have here next up? Hold on, I'm flipping past here. Ooh, The Matrix Resurrections gets a new poster with a little over a month between. I can't believe we only have a little bit over a month for the release of The Matrix Resurrections. Warner Brothers has released a new poster for the film. The Matrix Resurrections hits theaters and HBO Max on December 22nd. Wow.
Huh, my mom's birthday. Nice.
Like right on the heels, like literally right on the heels of Spidey.
I was about to say that too. Yeah, because it's like a week.
Less.
Is it?
Spidey's out on the 17th.
Oh.
It's 5 days.
Right. Okay. So
the poster doesn't reveal much in the way of new information about the film, but it does offer a good look at Neo looking once again similar to how he did when he entered the Matrix in the original trilogy. It's not a huge shock. The poster doesn't give away much, but what it does show is Yahya Abdul-Mateen as the new version of oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on Morpheus. And it also shows the actress who played Colleen Wing with some funky looking hair on the other side of Trinity.
Jessica Henwick.
Yes.
Yaya's looking like the Joker in that outfit. I'm just gonna say that real quick. So. But outside of that, yeah, it's supposed to, folks. And that is it for the cinematic news. We're going to flip over quickly to the comic book news. The new pocket-sized R2-D2 Tamagotchi is big fun, apparently, according to StarWars.com, which sounds a little biased, but hey. So apparently, the big thing here is there is a R2-D2 Tamagotchi made by Bandai. Excuse me. And apparently it's going to have minigames, surprise character appearances like, I think, Yoda and Boba Fett, and as this article says, charm to spare. So, looks like it's going to be in 2 flavors. I don't see pricing for this, but I suspect it's going to be some price. Next up.
Poisandra joins Power Rangers Battle for the Grid next week. Okay. So, is this a video game?
Yep.
Okay, because I didn't open the article. So back in September, Enway revealed that Poisandra of Power Rangers Dino Charge was joining the fight in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. Now her time has come, as she will be available to use starting November 16th. That's already earlier this week. Based on the trailer included in this article, Poisandra is going to be a strong character. Poisandra's not alone, though. Coming from the Boom Studios comics, the Grave Zord is being added as a new Megazord option for you to choose from. The Grave Zord is a conglomeration of various destroyed Zords in the world of the coinless, and definitely one of the coolest looking Zords out there. Poisandra is available for $5.99 or as part of Season 4, which is $14.99, while the Grave Zord is free to all players. Next month, fans will finally be able to bring the one and only Rita Repulsa to the battle. Who do you want to see next in Battle for the Grid? Okay.
I figure out who's actually next. Who's actually left? I don't know. Well, there's a lot of people left. But anyway, Gundam Base to make San Diego Comic-Con debut with pop-up installation. So, stateside Gundam fans will be delighted to learn that Gundam Base will finally be making its debut at the upcoming San Diego Comic-Con, which apparently is still going on, I guess. During the event, Gundam Base will be getting its own pop-up installation at SDCC, the first of its kind to ever set foot outside of Asia. There you'll find more than 150 different projects on offer, including SDCC's own exclusives, as well as a host of models that are usually only available at other Gundam-based stores across Tokyo and other places. Yeah, so basically, November 26th to 28th, if you're out there for San Diego Comic-Con, You're a better person than I am. 1 and 2. Hey, look up for this pop up if you're a Gundam fan. Next up,
Marvel's Avengers video game shows off some of its Spider-Man suits. Crystal Dynamics has shown off some of the costumes that will be available for Spider-Man when he's added to the PlayStation version of the game later this month. Among the final lineup are suits based on his look from Secret War and Spider-Man Noir. So Roddy Cat can show some of the suits here. The 7 suits revealed so far can be seen in the gallery. The classic suit is based on the original drawings of Spider-Man. And we get there are 2 spider armor suits, the Mark 1 and the Mark 3, which shows the evolution of the armored spider design. We get the classic armored Web of Spidey, armored art from the Web of Spidey issue number 100. And the Mark 3 is inspired by the Ends of the Earth suit from Amazing Spider-Man number 682. And we also get the Spider-Man Noir suit also.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just some of the final designs, apparently.
Yeah, and apparently there's a suit where he's just in a mask and got his camera. So, quote-unquote suit. I'm going to take these next 2. Spider-Man joins Marvel's Avengers on November 30th, speaking of. I believe that Agent 7 might have just said that, but...
No, I didn't have a date. It just said later this month.
Okay, yeah, because I don't remember when that article came out. But after much teasing, Spider-Man's debut in Marvel's Avengers has a date. The friendly neighborhood's web-slinger will appear in the game as a new downloadable character, but only on PS4 and PS5. Because Marvel's Avengers is on Xbox, but I guess it's not coming there. Well, I guess obviously Spider-Man being a Sony property in part, you can understand why it's not coming to the Xbox. Or at least not anytime soon, if it does actually come. But a new trailer on Thursday shows Spider-Man jumping into the fray against some AIM soldiers. Spidey will be a part of the upcoming Space Station exclusive expansion. There you go, with great power. That comes out on November 30th, that's said. And also among that, there was another trailer that came out. Apparently that shows Spidey playing D&D with some of the other Avengers characters. See, it's a trailer which features a variety of dynamic images with narration from Peter Parker. Sees Spider-Man addressing his fans via a social media live stream, updating them on his whereabouts and apologizing for his absence. Spidey confesses that taking down AIM is hard work. He nonetheless has been enjoying hanging out with the Avengers, who are surprisingly normal during downtime. Peter is seen playing video games with Kate Bishop, eating pizza with Black Widow, researching gamma radiation with Bruce Banner, and pranking Tony Stark with Kamala Khan. So, there you go. Next up.
So this is some teaser news from the February solicits that were officially released today in terms of our recording date. So for those of you who are watching us live or listening to us live and you're up late, especially if you're on the East Coast, this is part of the February solicits. Goodbye, Green Goblin. Hello, Queen Goblin. There's a new Goblin villain coming to town this February, the Queen Goblin. So it looks like this other Goblin is going to be added to the ranks of the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. Queen Goblin will debut in February 2nd, 2022's Amazing Spider-Man number 88 and continue to plague Ben Reilly in his new job as Spider-Man at least through Amazing Spider-Man number 90. Marvel Spider-Man group editor Nick Lowe says Queen Goblin was apparently one of the coolest ideas from their Beyond Story Summit. So, okay. We will see how that goes. And we're going to see the Queen Goblin in Amazing Spidey 88 through 90, probably.
Sure. And I guess we don't know who it is yet, since it's a totally new character, but it's probably some Gwen Catnip stuff. New heroic version.
No! No slander on Gwen.
No, definitely not. Well, I mean, hey, we'll get to that also.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I know.
New heroic versions of Miles Morales emerge from the multiverse in What If Miles Morales. So on the 15th, I guess, fans got their first glimpse at an exciting alternate version of Wolverine from the reality where Miles Morales took over the mantle. And this March, prepare to see Miles Morales take on the legacy of even more of your favorite Marvel heroes in a new series titled What If Miles Morales. Let's see. The new spin on the classic What If series will explore the Marvel Comics multiverse and answer the question, what if Miles Morales followed in the footsteps of a Marvel hero other than Spider-Man? Each issue, All-Star creators will introduce the saga of a new version of Miles Morales, and it all begins with writer Cody Ziegler, which I thought was a wrestler, and artist Paco Medina, and the friendly neighborhood Captain America. And you can see the cover by Sarah Bacelli if you're watching the video, which I'm going to assume that's Starling behind him in the Falcon outfit. So, yeah. Stay tuned for that, folks. Next.
Okay, so this is just a brief spoiler article that reviews Venom #1 that actually reveals something from Venom #1 that I probably glossed over. And it's basically a power upgrade for Eddie Brock. And Eddie Brock, for those of you who are not reading King in Black, has now become basically the king of the symbiotes, or the god of the symbiotes. And in last week's Venom #1, or was it 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? I think it was last week.
It might have been last week, yeah.
Right. Eddie Brock got a new power. So, spoiler alert, he can also piggyback on the minds of all symbiotes throughout time, resulting in some pretty freaky visions, which provides an easy way for writers Al Ewing and Ram V to tease what's coming up in the series. Okay.
Sure. Superstar artist Greg Land, Agent 70 and Dirk's favorite.
I was about to say, who wrote this? Who wrote this?
Pays homage to Gwen Stacy in
Superstar. I think this is hyperbole to the nth level.
Superstar artist Greg Land pays
My neighbors are probably trying to figure out why I'm screaming at this early hour of the AM.
Indeed. Pays homage to Gwen Stacy in new Spider-Gwenverse covers. So normally I would have put this in variant covers section, which there are some, there is definitely some more related materials in there, but this one I had to put in for obvious reasons. Announced this morning at the Mary Sue, Gwen Stacy is back in an all-new series this February. That's also the other reason why I put this in here. Gwen Stacy, a.k.a. Ghost Spider, will travel through time, encountering different versions of herself in Spider-Gwen Gwenverse by writer Tim Seeley and artist Jody Nishijima. And to celebrate Marvel Comics' Sweetheart's new era, superstar artist, again, Greg Land has delivered gorgeous covers for each issue of the limited series. It should note that this article is coming from Marvel.com, so take that for what it is. These pinup style covers pay homage to Land's iconic variation cover of Edge of Spider-Verse #2. Ghost Spider's first appearance when she was known as Spider-Gwen, and features Gwen in a series of outfits, including her time as Nightbird in the recent Heroes of Born Nightwing one-shot. And as I quickly scrolled through this article, it only shows that one, but here you go. There's one, there's another, and there's another, and that's the last one. There's the covers, folks. Go with grace. Next up.
Apologies, folks. Alrighty. In our next article, Marvel's new Iron Fist has different powers than Danny Rand. So the new Iron Fist will not be a carbon copy of Danny Rand and will possess an entirely different, more live fighting style, writer Alyssa Wong revealed in a recent interview. Quote, what she can say, or what I can say, is that he's taken a slightly unorthodox path to becoming an Iron Fist, which not everyone in Kunlun is pleased about, Wong told IGN. He's also been trained by several different people, including some familiar faces. His fighting style is influenced by them. Something we don't always see in male superheroes is emphasis on agility over sheer power, so I wanted to give him a more acrobatic style, the kind you might associate with a cat burglar. As for his powers, they're strange. They're tied into his origin story with an intense Iron Fist twist. You'll have to read it to find out more. So Alyssa Wong will pen the upcoming 5-issue Iron Fist miniseries alongside penciler Michael YG. The series introduces a new living weapon who appears to possess the same deadly chi punches as Danny Rand, but is of Asian descent and may be a completely new character, though fans have speculated that anyone from Shang-Chi to Lin Lei, the hero also known as Swordmaster, might be the ones under the yellow and green mask.
So, well, if it was Shang-Chi, that means it's probably gonna... I kind of doubt it, but...
I doubt it.
That would kind of make sense given MCU standards. I mean, given the MCU, because like I said earlier, they kind of seemed like they could have. I might have said this before the show, but they seemed like they could have set up Kunlun quite easily with in the.
No, we did. Yeah, we said it during the show. We said it during the show, and I think that they'll eventually bring in a version of Iron Fist through the Shang-Chi mythology that they created in this movie.
Right.
That's what I.
Also,
whether or not it's a movie or a TV show is another story.
Sure. Also, Swordmaster. I totally forgot about that character even existing.
Well, he kind of came and went as a result of the that wave of books that we saw,
Wave.
and yeah, right, and ultimately we saw him with the agents,
right, Agents of Atlas,
of Atlas, and we've yet to see them reappear as a group. So, we'll see where that character is, or we may see them reemerge in the wake of the reveal, if this is in fact Lin Lee,
right.
of the revelation of this character taking on the Iron Fist mantle.
Actually, I thought it was Lin Lai.
Lin Lai? I can't remember.
Because I thought it was Lin Lai, not L-E-I, but L-I. Or not L-I, actually. Was it L-I-E? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
Right, because neither of us are Chinese, so neither of us can really speak authoritatively on it. And we haven't really had a chance to hear anyone pronounce it for us like we did Shang-Chi.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it's Lin Lia,
right?
Which it might be. So
right, and I could have sworn it was spelled differently. Is what I was basically getting into, but no, apparently not. So okay, never mind. Moving right along. Let's keep this going. No, it is actually it's L-I-E.
Right. So I'm not sure if it's like Leah, like Leah Williams.
Right. Well, this article is spelling it L-E-I, but that's probably a typo.
Oh, okay. So no, it's L-I-E, I think.
Right. So either way, we don't know who it is, and we'll find out then when that happens. Marvel's new. Right. Wait, is this you or me?
Let's see. No, I did Iron Fist. So you're next. You got the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, sort of that. Okay. Marvel's new Sorcerer Supreme gets an ongoing series in March. This March, the Marvel Universe's new Sorcerer Supreme, who Marvel Comics has promised to name in December, will get their own title. And weirdly enough, it's a title we already know, sort of. The new title is simply called Strange. Judging by newly released teaser art by Bjorn Barends announcing the series. However, the file name of the teaser art is listed as Doctor Strange Teaser, which may be a slight but ultimately incidental discrepancy, or according to this article, or which could indicate something about who the new Sorcerer Supreme might be. I'm hoping it's Zelma Staten, but I very much doubt it. Remember, Strange isn't a part of a title that's passed down like the Sorcerer Supreme is Stephen Strange's actual name, according to this article. So, I guess we'll find out in December's Death of Doctor Strange number 4. Who this person may or may not be. Next up.
Okay, next up, Marvel. This is a spoiler for Dark Ages number 3. Is that out this week?
Yes.
So I did not read this.
Neither did I.
But this is spoilers for Dark Ages number 3. So Marvel Comics just showed off the darkest side of Quicksilver in this issue of Dark Ages number 3 out this week. as the hero was just mind controlled into killing some of his closest allies. And as a speed-based hero, you can kind of surmise how this was done, what they showed him doing.
Yeah. And this is kind of an Elseworlds thing anyway, so it's not like it's in the 616, so it doesn't really matter who he killed.
Right.
Which I kind of hate saying it like that, because I like to treat these stories as stories regardless of whether they're canon or not, but hey, it is what it is. The Watcher gets his own comic as part of Marvel's The Reckoning War. So, fresh off his return from the dead, which I totally almost pretty much forgot about, Uatu the Watcher will be starring in his own comic book one-shot as a part of Marvel Comics' 2022 event, The Reckoning War. Quote-unquote, one of the key players in all of this is Uatu. The Reckoning War, Dan Slott tells Newsarama. Something about this is incredibly tied to something so fundamental in the Marvel Universe that the Watchers bore witness to. And this article goes on to say that, Uatu has pretty much broken the Watcher's vow on many occasions in the Marvel Universe, and yes, he has. So yeah, not unlikely for Uatu. Also, as if you've watched What If, you've seen that. Anyway, next up.
I just passed over an interesting article I'm going to pass on to Roddy Cat after the show.
Sure.
Next up, Marvel Shang-Chi recruits Excalibur artist Marcus To as its new series artist. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, because I commented earlier that Marcus To has done a good job of mostly sticking with the Excalibur book and keeping that book on schedule. So I'm glad to see that Marcus To is shifting gears over to the Shang-Chi book. Marcus To will take over the Jean Luen Yang written Shang-Chi series, beginning with February 16th, 2022, Shang-Chi number 9. Taking the reins from original series artist DK Ruan, To will begin in what the publisher calls the next new phase of Shang-Chi's legend. Let's see, is there anything else in here? This means his time as the Excalibur artist comes to an end. To was the series artist since its 2019 debut, drawing almost all of the issues. His final issue appears to be December's Excalibur number 26. Okay.
Yeah, apparently he's done some Shang-Chi work before. Excuse me, because he wrote. He illustrated Yang's Shang-Chi story in Marvel's Voices Identity anthology.
Right.
So there you go. Oh,
interesting.
And also he did a how to draw Shang-Chi video for Marvel's YouTube page recently. So
interesting. I wonder what's going to happen to DK Ruan, who's done some good work on this.
Yeah, that is a question, because this article doesn't necessarily say anything about that part. So be curious if that information comes out. DC hands the power of Shazam to the former Mary Marvel in a new miniseries. So Mary Bromfield, Billy Batson's big sister and superhero formerly known as Mary Marvel, will step into her little brother's shoes in 2022. Courtesy of DC Comics, Polygon can reveal that when Billy steps out of the role, which I thought he already had, but then I haven't been reading that series, Mary will wield the power of Shazam in the new Champion of Shazam, a new 4-issue miniseries from writer Jersey Campbell and fan favorite Shazam artist Evan Doc Shaner, whose work I definitely do like. This goes on to go through a little bit of history of Mary Marvel and a little bit of the synopsis of the first issue. Again, new Champion of Shazam will hit shelves on February 8th, 2022. And you can check out the full cover and Shaner's character designs from Mary's costume below. On this article. Next up.
All right, DC reveals a twisted new generation of villains is coming. These are spoilers for Joker number 9. So apparently, in this book, this is by James Tynion IV. And Jim Gordon has been on a globe-trotting manhunt to kill the Joker once and for all, but now he and Joker have stumbled onto a much bigger conspiracy, C-O-N-spiracy, that's been brewing in the DC underworld. In Joker Chapter 15, The Monster Maker, Gordon and the new female Bane, Vengeance, track Joker to the island of Majorca, blah, 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 yakety schmackety, blah, 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 blah. So apparently the horror reveal comes when Gordon and Joker, when Bomb shows Gordon and Joker vats of failed Joker clones, all living, laughing, deformed nightmares. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Clones. Gotta love it.
I don't know if anybody's reading that Joker book, but okay. Next up, though, let's get a preview of Aquaman #1 from DC Comics and ICV 2. This article kind of goes through the press release description of Aquaman #1, but we can tell you it's being written by Chuck Brown and Brandon Thomas with art by Sami Basri and Adriano Lucas, and it launches on February 22nd. Let's see. Is there anything else in here? There's some art pages in here, and you can check out some images from the book. And also, let's see. It says that the final issue of Black Manta, also written by Chuck Brown, is going to be in February, and the final issue of Aquaman: The Becoming miniseries, which is going on right now, and leads into the Aquaman launch. Is also on sale in February. So yeah, for some strange reason, February is Aquaman month. Not really, but got a lot of Aquaman books coming out. Next
up, so this is some spoilers for Justice League Last Ride #7. I think this is last week.
I believe so.
Justice League Last Ride #7 by Chip Zdarsky, Miguel Mendonca, Enrica Angiolini, and Ann World Design introduced perhaps one of the multiverse's most powerful incarnations of the Martian Manhunter ever by making him a living construct of the Green Lantern core energy. And apparently he should retain this newfound power, according to this article. Okay, interesting. I don't know if you're reading this. I am not.
I am not. I had thought about it, and no. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Dragon Ball Super previews battle with Granola, good gosh, real enemy.
Hey, you gotta love. I forget. I just blanked on the name of the Dragon Ball creator, but he loves his food references.
Akira Toriyama, and yes, he does.
Yes.
Because if you did not know most, if not all of, most. I'm not gonna say all of them, because most of the heroes in, especially if they're Saiyan, are named after food. And obviously, Bulma's family are named after pants. So, yeah. Toriyama's got a sense of humor on him. So, yeah, this is spoiler.
Oh, and also he references Disney as well.
Does he?
Bibbidi Boppity Boop.
Oh, that is also correct. Yes, that's true. That is also true. I
didn't even have to say the actual names of the characters.
Yes.
I just had to make that reference.
Actually, you did, because they are called just that.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally forgot about that. So yeah, this is like spoiler.
Well, I mean, I left out the part where I always made a joke about how I thought of that Animaniacs bit where, it's like, you're not a man, you're a Majin Buu.
Yes, I have also shout out to Chicken Boo, who apparently has never shown up again, huh?
No, he has. In the Animaniacs reboot, yes.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't watched it, so.
On Hulu, ladies and gentlemen, the newest season is out already. I am in the midst of watching it.
Indeed. But back to the story. Like I said, this is spoilers for Dragon Ball Super, the manga, I believe, and not the adaptation, the anime adaptation. It was kind of hard to assess that out at the beginning, but reading through. So yeah, preview images from the series' official site revealed that the villains Heaters, which actually reminds me of Bleach for some strange reason, successfully collect all of the planet's Dragon Balls and summon its wish-granting dragon, as tends to happen in the series. who take on a more amphibian-like appearance than the dragons of Earth in Namek. Well, it could be worse. Could have been GT. The previous chapter in the series revealed that it was Bardock, Goku's forgotten biological. That's not fair. Biological father. Excuse me. Who saved Granola and his mother from the Saiyan attack all those years ago. After learning he had been fighting the son of his savior the whole time, Granola discovers that that was the Heaters who actually killed his mother. You know, that old chestnut. So, and it goes on from there. We won't necessarily have to go into that. We don't know when this is even going to get adapted into or if it even is going to get adapted into the upcoming, superhero, excuse me, not superhero. Yeah. But I think this is from the manga, so.
Interesting tidbit in this because I am not, I'm still, despite the fact that I've watched all of the Dragon Ball anime to date, minus GT, I did not realize that the new manga is drawn by a self-taught artist named Toyotaru, whom Toriyama has personally named as his official successor as artist on the book. Wow.
Oh, nice.
So I presume Toriyama is still writing the story and plotting, laying out the plots or whatever, but Toyotaru is drawing it now. Cool.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. Speaking of manga news, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean gets a one-shot spin-off manga. So Josuke and Rohan Kishibe are the only JoJo Bizarre Adventure characters to get their own spin-offs. A new one-shot manga that will apparently star Jolene Cujo has been revealed. The new standalone story, which will be written and drawn by Kimono Jihen's Sho Imoto, will be titled, Fujiki. I'm not going to pronounce that. But White Snake is in the apparently White Snake is in the thing. So, and if you know anything about JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, that is not a big surprise. And if you don't like probably Agent 78 and you want to know why, you should watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or you can ask me later. Anyway,
Fujiko no Kimyu na Shosejitsu.
Sure.
I'm trying, folks.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to try it, because I didn't want to butcher it, and I would. But nevertheless, the spinoff will be published in the next issue of Shueisha's Ultra Jump magazine on December 18th. And I believe, I can't remember, it does say when that new season of JoJo's is coming out. It looks like January 18th. Oh, that's a manga. Let's see. You know what? It doesn't matter. Oh, December 1st. For on Netflix. Anyway, last but not least,
and believe it or not, I actually learned about this particular story, this humble bundle, from Walt Simonson himself.
Oh, nice.
Who posted a link to this humble bundle on his fan website that I am a member of on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So in a post that he posted himself, he let everyone in the fan group know that that this humble bundle was out, and what this humble bundle is from Dark Horse, where you can get a 20-item bundle. And you can pay, what they're recommending, which is $25 or $30, or less. But they recommend $25 or $30 to get basically the entire Humble Bundle collection. These are digital copies of several landmark manga series written by Kazuo Koike and featuring visuals by Kozeki Kojima, who is no longer with us. Mm-hmm. But what we get is, obviously, we get the main book that is known in the United States, and that would be Lone Wolf and Cub. We get all 28 volumes. Mm-hmm. You also get The Path of the Assassin. We get Samurai Executioner, Color of Rage, and Lady Snowblood, the various volumes, and Crying Freeman as well. So I'm on the fence about this one because I own all 28 volumes of the Lone Wolf and Cub in physical form.
Gotcha.
But it wouldn't hurt to have it in digital.
Yeah,
and it also benefits charity. That's the important part.
There you go.
It supports the Hero Initiative and Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So that would be the incentive I have to jump on this Humble Bundle, because it would be definitely nice to read all these Lone Wolf and Cubs in digital format. But it's probably just as important to support these charities.
Right. It says Charity Water, but and also and Hero Initiative. So I don't. But yeah. Regardless, what Agent 70 said, regardless, is very much the case. I feel like I might do this. Lady Snowbird is another one some folks might know, because there have been live action adaptations of Lady Snowbird into movies, which I think one of those.
You can change the suggested charities.
Oh, gotcha.
So the first, so that first charity, the Hero Initiative is you can't change, but you can change your second charity.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. All right.
So you can change it to the American Red Cross, Child's Play, Children's Miracle Network, Games Aid, Wikimedia Foundation, or Charity Water.
Yep. If you're watching the video version, you can see that. So that is cool. That is cool. So yeah, so that is it, folks. Like I said, Lone Wolf and Co. I feel like if you're of a certain vintage, you know of it, or know what has crept from it. If you watch The Mandalorian, you definitely know,
right,
where the inspirations come from. So
right. You may know that. There's lots of, you just have to go to Enter the 36 Chambers to get a couple of drops, straight drops from the Samurai Executioner movies. But I was definitely introduced to it through the Frank Miller adaptations, the covers that he did for the first comics, reprints of the books, which were incomplete. But those are only through a friend of mine. And then I got turned on to, the whole story. And when the reprints, the Dark Horse reprints came out in that little digest format in 1990, I want to say 1998, they started coming out. And they kept going all the way through the year 2000 and 2001. So I bought all of those as they were coming out, as they were hitting the stands. So that was my real introduction to Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima's masterpiece.
Gotcha.
So, but that was, I know people went back even further with it, as you said, because they went back with the movies, the adaptations.
Yes, right. If you've Shogun Assassin, classic movie adaptation, which I guess was pieced together from a couple of movies, I think, and now that I think about, or a couple of the long, but yeah, great stuff if you ever get a chance to check it out. Either way, not to go on too much in further, but it's a great charity, and hey, you get a lot for it. So, and that, folks, comes to the end of the news and the end of this here podcast. But before we get to that, we got one more ad read.
Our last ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
And as we come to an end of another episode of the Comic Book Chronicles, I almost said I had a toy corner, but it's not necessarily germane to comics per se. But
I almost had a toy corner. Do you know what became available on the Walgreens website this week?
She-Hulk.
No.
Wait, Nova?
Yeah, Nova's available. It's still available on the Walgreens website right now. So you may not see it in your local Walgreens, but you can definitely order it. It costs a little bit extra because shipping on Walgreens is expensive. But you can get it, and I ordered mine. Mine is supposedly going to be here. I thought it would be here today in order for Toy Corner in in time for Toy Corner, but it wasn't, so it should be here tomorrow.
Right. That's funny because I was in at Walgreens yesterday, and that particular section was empty.
Yeah, so it's definitely available on the website.
Gotcha. Well, I might check that out. That being said, folks, we have come to the end of another episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Like, thank each and every one of you for coming out. We'll be back. Well, excuse me. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we will probably not have a show on Thursday night. We may not have a show that particular weekend, but stay tuned to our social medias to find out when we will actually have a show. We will definitely have one probably next week, but it might not necessarily be on that weekend.
Right. So we will see what happens for Thanksgiving. So in advance of the Thanksgiving holiday, have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe on your travels. Be safe with your COVID protocols.
Don't eat too much.
Yeah, be thankful for what you have. Yeah. It's an important thing to always, to remember. Be thankful for what you have. Not worry too much about what you don't.
Indeed.
We'll be back, if not next week, the week after, and we'll have a lot to recap. We'll have Cowboy Bebop to talk about.
Yes.
We will have probably obtained our tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home by that point.
Hawkeye.
Yes, Hawkeye will have started.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have plenty to talk about. We will try to keep things very brief.
Yes, indeed, as brief as we can, with possibly 2 weeks worth of stuff.
Exactly. We may have to dedicate a Treasury edition to the TV stuff and keep it separate. We'll see. So we leave you with that. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Indeed. And with that, you can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither podcast. Well, excuse me, back up before that. I am Roddycat. I'm your host. You can find me at Roddycat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBA Caps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_Dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com and his umbrella sites therein. Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter. The Osiris-ish, as we like to say. You can also find him at CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him at The Click Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQNATION, all one word. But you can also find him at comicbook.com. That's that other place. Comicbook.com, where he's writing his face off. Which kind of sounds differently now, and it's kind of hard to get used to. Not hard to get used to, but it just rings differently when you say it like that. You can also find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. And of course, if you've been watching the video version or at any point will be watching the video version, you can check it out live if you so choose, or after the fact, on the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/TheClickNation, or twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, where we go live every Thursday night at 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern. And that being said, like I said, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace, one.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your